It is win or go home for the Harwich Mariners this afternoon, as after losing a marathon 15-inning game in Game 1 of the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series yesterday at home against the Cotuit Kettlers, they now have their backs against the wall and must win today to force a Game 3 to continue their quest for their 5th Cape Cod Baseball League Championship. Hello, everybody. Once again, I'm Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. And Tyler, just a few short hours ago, we were still wrapping up this game as I mentioned before, a 15-inning victory for the Cotuit Kettlers. They would eventually win 7-6 on an RBI single in the top of the 15th by league MVP Nick Gonzalez. Tyler, I don't think I've been a part of a crazier baseball game in the broadcast booth, have you?
No, I certainly haven't, and it's something that was completely unexpected. We knew both of these teams were going to go out and obviously contend in Game 1, but just how close they were, I think neither one of us expected. And at the end of the day, it was Will Heflin and his sub-1 ERA against the league MVP. Something was going to have to break, and unfortunately for Harwich, it was Heflin. So the run comes across the score. Now Harwich has to turn around and try to get it done in Game 2. And while all the momentum does favor Cotuit right now, you've got to think, with Connor McCullough on the bump, you give yourself a chance to get 6 or 7 scoreless innings. He has been absolutely phenomenal throughout the course of this season.
He certainly has, and especially in the postseason, the start he made against the Chatham Anglers, he went 6 innings, giving up 0 hits before Joe Boyle came in, pitched another 3 innings. That they combined for the first Cape Cod Baseball League playoff no-hitter since 1991. A phenomenal game, but now McCullough in a much different situation, trying to keep the Mariners season alive right here at Lowell Park. And Tyler, he's going to have to do it against a lineup for Cotuit that seemed like everybody found ways to produce, and especially the 2 big ones being the league MVP Nick Gonzalez and also Adam Oviedo, who drove in the game-tying run in the top of the 9th inning and scored the winning run in the 15th, the guy who really produced in that 7-hole.
I mean, this is something that's been going on throughout the course of the whole postseason. Everybody's been producing offensively for Cotuit. It's part of the reason why they become such a juggernaut, and it's a big part of the reason why they find themselves in this position, 1 win away from another Cape League championship. But that's the thing. I mean, they saw a guy who was really solid in Connor Seckler yesterday. They're going to be facing an entirely new beast in Connor McCullough today, and that is going to have to be the X factor. I keep bringing it up, but for good reason. Again, McCullough this year threw 32 2/3 innings, a 1.1 ERA. The postseason, he pitched 6 innings of no-hit baseball, and against Cotuit this year, he has pitched 6 innings of scoreless baseball. So he is going to have to go out there and give Harwich a lot of help against this Cotuit lineup, and after that, it'll be very interesting to see who comes in out of the bullpen.
Looking at the other side, a very interesting choice for Coach Mike Roberts, and I would say, though, still a pretty easy one in Sean Sullivan. Last time Sean Sullivan pitched was Game 2 on August 3rd against the Wareham Gatemen, where the Cotuit Kettlers scored 22 runs and won that game by a final score of 22-2. So Sullivan didn't really have to worry too much, as he went 5 innings, giving up just 1 unearned run on 8 hits, picking up the victory while striking out 6. So Sullivan didn't have a lot of pressure in that game. I think it's going to be a little bit different this time around.
Yeah, and Harwich is going to come out and hit them with everything they have. A couple of interesting developments in the lineup. Nico Cavadas, who again is still 0 for this postseason, is hitting him a 2-hole today, and Chris Lanzilli is not in the lineup. Lanzilli is on the bench along with Christian Fedko, Max Marshak, and a Chris Galland, who is back in the dugout again. He's very, very, very unlikely that he will play, but he has good spirits, a smile on his face, and appears to be okay after taking that pitch to the head yesterday.
Mariners going with a different lineup. Cotuit going to stick with what they started out with yesterday. Let's take a look at those lineups. Dylan Noisy leading things off once again for the Mariners. He has been a spark plug in that leadoff spot. He will play center field out of Texas Tech University. Nico Cavadas, as you mentioned, batting second, playing first base. He started at third yesterday out of the University of Notre Dame. Corey Acton, the second baseman, moves up to the 3-hole out of the University of Florida. Joey Weimer, the left fielder, will bat cleanup out of Cincinnati. Pat Winkle led a monster game yesterday, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. The DH in batting 5th after getting a much-needed rest after catching so many games in this playoff series. Hal Hughes, the shortstop, moves up to the 6th spot out of LSU. Mike Ludwig will bat 7th, play right field out of Wake Forest. Riley Terada, the University of Dayton product, third baseman, batting 8th, getting his first start in quite some time in the postseason for the Harwich Mariners. And batting 9th and catching is going to be Sean Harrington, making his first start in the postseason after Pat Winkle caught a marathon game yesterday. And Tyler, it makes a lot of sense for Harrington to get in the game. He wasn't even used at all yesterday, some fresh legs.
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, Harrington, a guy that, is going to give you an opportunity to come in and really do some damage. Again, he has looked good offensively, surprisingly good throughout the course of the season so far, and just his 2 appearances, and that gives Pat Winkle an opportunity to rest, something Cody Pasek will not get. It'll be interesting to see if Pasek's performance suffers behind the dish, having just got 15 innings in the last 24 hours.
Now let's look at the Cotuit lineup. As I mentioned, the same one as yesterday, as they will look to clinch their first championship since 2013 and their 17th championship in league history, and they will do it with their MVP leading things off, second baseman Nick Gonzalez out of New Mexico State. Matt Mervis, the first baseman, who also pitched in yesterday's game, will bat second out of Duke. Araj Anu had a home run way back in the first inning of Game 1 out of the University of Kentucky, will bat third and play right field. Casey Schmidt, the cleanup man, playing third, and out of San Diego State University. Colton Kessler, the DH, will bat fifth out of Kentucky. Parker Chavers out of Coastal Carolina, the left fielder, batting sixth. Adam Oviedo, the shortstop, batting seventh out of TCU, had a huge game yesterday. Dante Williams batting eighth and playing center field. He is from Arizona University, and Cody Pasek will bat ninth. Anthem time here at Lowell Park. We'll be right back with first pitch of Game 2 of the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship. Just moments away from first pitch of Game 2 of the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series. The Harwich Mariners trailing 1-0 to the Cotuit Kettlers in the series, as Cotuit looking for their 17th championship in team history. And Tyler Henry, what are you looking for in this game? We know we got kind of something that was unexpected in a 15-inning game yesterday, but we know the Mariners have to fight back. This was our first playoff loss last night in the entire postseason here in 2019. Do you expect them to bounce back the way that they have done all season long?
I mean, they're going to need one thing and one thing only, and that is any semblance of momentum, because right now all of that belongs to the Cotuit Kettlers. They went 15 innings. They threw 7 different pitchers, and at the end of the day, they came away with the victory. Now they're at home with their crowd here cheering them on, and they are 1 win away from becoming CCBL champions. Harwich needs some kind of a momentum killer, and whether that's Connor McCulley going out and shutting down the lineup for Cotuit, or if it's a big offensive inning, which would be even bigger for Harwich, they need some kind of a statement here early to get the crowd out of it and to get Cotuit out of it to give themselves some semblance of hope here in this game.
You mentioned the crowd is a packed house here at Lowell Park. Both sets of bleachers behind each dugout completely filled, and parking certainly being an issue here, as both the parking lot and the street behind the parking lot here at Lowell Park just completely filled, as so many fans out here to watch this championship series as Kettlers go ahead and take the field. And leading them out there will be the pitcher Sean Sullivan, the right-hander out of UC Berkeley, 1-0 in the playoffs. That one win, of course, coming against the Gatemen back on August 3rd in round 1 of this playoff series. And looking in the regular season, Tyler, he's had success there as well. 0-2, but he was used as a reliever primarily, and then kind of started making starts towards the end of the year and had success in both roles. So what do you expect out of Sullivan here today?
I mean, we know what we're going to get with Sullivan. Fastball, curveball, changeup, slider. 4 pitches. He's going to mix everything that he has in. And this is really a solid bid here for the Cotuit Kettlers as they save another ace tomorrow, potentially, if there is a Game 3. Harwich has got to go all in. I mean, it's do or die today, and we'll see how they respond. But, yeah, out of Sean Sullivan, a 1.7 ERA. His record really not all that significant. And how about this? 43 strikeouts compared to just 6 walks this season. He is more or less the Connor McCullough of the Cotuit Kettlers. Not quite as solid numbers, but very close. And he is going to be a tall task for a Harwich lineup that has struggled at times all postseason long. They need to string together some sustained offense. Home runs aren't going to get it done today. You have to put together long, lengthy innings and get into this drained Cotuit bullpen.
Yeah, you mentioned the drained Cotuit bullpen. Real quick, how much of a factor do you think bullpen is going to be in this game, especially for Cotuit?
Well, it's going to be huge for Cotuit. It's also going to be huge for Harwich. You got to think both teams pitched 7 guys yesterday. So, and the thing with Cotuit is they've been doing this all season long. They've been running basically bullpen games since the opening game of the Wareham series. So every one of their guys, while nobody's gone in from the bullpen and given them 6 innings except for one guy yesterday in Richard Brereton, every one of these guys has pitched at least 5 innings this season. That could have its toll later on here.
Dylan Noisy steps into the batter's box as we are just about set for Game 2 of the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series. Once again, Cotuit getting the victory in Game 1. Mariners looking to answer here in Game 2 and force a Game 3 at White House Field tomorrow night. First pitch from Sullivan is just outside, and we're underway.
Yep, starting him off with a fastball, no surprise there, and we'll see whether or not he continues to pound that. But again, a 4-pitch guy. We'll see what he mixes in here.
Another fastball swung on a miss, that one at 92, so that fastball in the low 90s, pretty solid, especially for a starting pitcher.
And right off the bat, we see 2 different grips, a little late tailing action on a 2-seamer for the first one, and then a 4-seam, it appears at least, for the second pitch. So 2 different fastballs to mix in.
Breaking ball swung on and missed for a strike. It's a front door curveball that came in at 82, so it's got some zip on the breaking ball as well as his fastball.
Noisy reached base in 5 of his 8 at-bats yesterday, 2 walks, 3 singles.
Here he watches a fastball outside and has reached base in every single game he's been a part of in the playoffs, a big reason why Coach Steve Englert has him in that top part of the lineup. 2-2 is on the outside corner for strike 3, and Noisy can't believe it as he leans back in disappointment and slowly walks back to the dugout. So Sullivan starts things out with a strikeout, looking 1 away in the first.
Yep, strike 3 called by home plate umpire Jeff Merzel. Let's set the umpires for you. John DiGirolamo, at first base. Rudy Fernbach at second, and Mike Finn is at third.
So here's Nico Cavadas, swing and a miss for strike 1. Cavadas has struggled at the plate, but he has found other ways to reach base as he walked a couple of times in yesterday's game. He does have a home run at this ballpark in a 9-1 victory in the regular season. The 0-1 misses low.
Yep, he's reached base 7 times this postseason despite posting an 0-for-17 clip on the year. So he's also had his fair share of success against Cotuit. That didn't necessarily translate yesterday as he went 0-for-5.
2-1 count now to the Granger, Indiana native. Sean Sullivan, the starting pitcher out of Woodland Hills, California. And Cavadas lines this ball into right field. That's going to get down for a base hit. So Nico Cavadas with his first hit of the postseason. The ball briefly fumbled out in right by Araj Anu, but Cavadas not enough speed to get to second. He'll stay at first.
Well, and there it is. Nico Cavadas finally breaking the 0-for-17 clip he had started the postseason with. And if that's enough to get him going, that can be huge for Harwich. Having his bat producing once again in the lineup would be massive.
So Corey Acton batting in the 3-hole today digs in. Another guy who didn't have any hits yesterday but was able to get on base 3 times. He scored a couple of runs. Cavadas' lead off first. Sullivan's first pitch, a slider on the outside corner. Colton Schmidt, the third baseman, Adam Oviedo at short, Nick Gonzalez at second, and Matt Mervis at first, the infield for the Cotuit Kettlers. As Acton swings and misses for strike 2. Parker Chavers in left, Dante Williams in center, Araj Anu the right fielder, and Cody Pasek catching in another game after catching all 15 innings of yesterday's game.
He's an absolute tank back there behind the plate. You wonder whether or not his defense will suffer as a result, though.
The 0-2, he tries framing that pitch on the inside corner, but doesn't get the call. 1-2.
You know, talk about fatigue. I mean, you go out there and you catch that many consecutive innings, you turn around 12 hours later, and now you're back at it for 9 more at least. That's assuming this game doesn't go to extras as well.
Sullivan comes to the belt. Now the 1-2. Curveball that he loses control of. It misses up and away.
So far, we've seen everything but the changeup, I think, and it'll be interesting to see how long it takes for him to break that up. But that's what we heard. It's going to be a pretty hefty mix of all 4 pitches, and that can really keep the hitter guessing. No idea what's coming.
Don't see too many guys at this level with 4 established pitches. Sullivan goes to the fastball. That's hit well out towards left center field. Going back and making the catch in front of the wall is Parker Chavers. Cavadas will retreat, and there's 2 away in the first.
Well, and there it is. A pretty good way to square up there, but just unable to get too much on it, and that'll bring up Joey Weimer, who was 2 for 7 yesterday. He had one of the runs scored, more aggressive base running out of him, and he represents the last hope in the first inning here for Harwich.
Weimer, the Michigan native from the University of Cincinnati, started out the year as a temporary player, but had a lot of success at the plate, especially in the month of June and at White House Field. So he sticks around and he watches the first pitch in the dirt. Weimer yesterday had a double and a run scored. That came all the way back in the second inning. Also singled in the 14th, and that was the only hit surrendered by Richard Brereton in his outing. 6 innings coming out of the bullpen, and Weimer watches a fastball low.
Well, he's got to be the MVP of yesterday's game. Yes, Nick Gonzalez had the single that drove in the run, but without him coming in and pitching 6 scoreless innings, that game probably ends somewhere around the 11th or 12th. But again, they get a really good performance out of a guy who was just feeling himself that day, and that leads them here to Lowell Park with a chance to win the CCBL title.
Brereton had to pitch out of a lot of tough situations in the bottom of the 11th. Second and third with 2 away. Was able to get a huge strikeout on Chris Lanzilli, and that prolonged the ball game. The 2-0 to Joey Weimer. He swings away. It's a high pop-up heading off towards the right. Pasek comes over and makes a catch in the on-deck circle to end the inning. So, despite a 1-out single from Nico Cavadas, Harwich can't muster any runs. We're through half an inning from Lowell Park. Scoreless in Game 2 of the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series. You're listening right here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the first inning from Cotuit, Massachusetts, as the Kettlers will get their first chance against Connor McCullough, who has been so strong all season long. 2-0 in the regular season with a 1.05 ERA in 6 games. 4 of them starts as he pitched 25 2/3 phenomenal innings for the Harwich Mariners. And he really kept it up in the playoffs in his first start in the postseason, Tyler, as against Chatham in Game 1 of that series, he went 6 innings. Didn't give up any hits, walked 3, struck out 5, in what was a phenomenal performance from the K-State product.
Yeah, and again, he's got a fresh arm. He was transfer ineligible last year, so he is still not on any kind of an innings limit. And, you know, again, you look at the numbers for Connor McCullough. Throughout the regular season, a 1.1 ERA through 32 innings. In the postseason, 6 innings of no-hit ball. And against Cotuit, 6 innings of no-run baseball. So Kettlers still looking for the first run off of him. Also, Connor McCullough has only allowed 1 run on the road this year. For whatever reason, he just feels a lot more comfortable when not in the confines of White House Field. So we'll see if he can continue his dominant stretch. Fastball, curveball, changeup. You know what you're getting with Connor McCullough. The question is, can you hit it? And for a majority of guys this year, the answer to that has been no. No, you cannot.
So McCullough has the task of pushing this series to a game 3, and he'll start things out against Nick Gonzalez, the regular season MVP this year. The Cape League takes a first pitch fastball low. Gonzalez out of New Mexico State went 3 for 6 in the win yesterday, including driving in the go-ahead run in the top of the 5th inning, and he's ahead in the count now, 2-0. Gonzalez spent the end of last season with Cotuit. Played a couple of games with them late in the year, and he swings at a 2-0 fastball high and can only send it foul straight out of play. Gonzalez also scored the first run of the ball game after reaching base on a walk to open the game, then a single from Matt Mervis and a 3-run home run by Araj Anu gave Cotuit a 3-0 lead in the first inning. Count now 3-1 to Gonzalez, and once again showing off that patience.
Yeah, McCullough not a guy that walks a lot of players, but you got to think Gonzalez a guy that reaches on a lot of walks. These are going to be gritty at bats.
He swings and hits one hard on the ground to third. Riley Terrata able to glove it. Throw on to Cavadis in time, so the speedy Nick Gonzalez retired for out number 1. Let's take a look at the Harwich Mariners defense. You saw Riley Terrata make that play. Hal Hughes at short. Corey Acton at second base. Nico Cavadis over at first. Left to right in the outfield, Joey Weimer in left. Dylan Noisy playing center. Mike Ludwig in right field, and Sean Harrington doing the catching for Connor McCullough. So here's Matt Mervis. Duke University product, takes the first pitch up and away.
Yeah, Mervis has got to feel better than anybody that yesterday's game resulted in a Cotuit win, as he was the one who blew the lead back in the 8th.
Gave up a 2-run home run to make it 6-4 off the bat of Pat Winkle. So he'll look to make up for it at the plate as he's ahead in the count 2-0. Pitch from McCullough. It's fouled straight to the backstop.
And at that point, I think everybody in that stadium thought Harwich was going to have a really good shot at winning that. You get a 2-run lead, you have all the momentum, and you're going to send out your all-star closer who throws 101-mile-an-hour fastballs at guys. And just a couple of little light dink hits for Cotuit. That's all it took. They were able to drive in 2 and push it to extras, and then eventually put the exclamation point on to close it out.
Favorable count here for Mervis, 3-1. Cole looking to battle back. The pitch is hit a ton out towards right field and deep. Going back and gone into the tree line. Solo home run for Matt Mervis. He got all of that one, and Cotuit takes a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the first.
Well, once again, Harwich is going to have to fight back from adversity, as they were able to do so yesterday following the 3-run home run. We'll see whether or not they can find a way to do it again here as they trail just 1-0.
Matt Mervis touches home plate, and he is greeted by all of his teammates as Kettlers struck first in yesterday's game in the first inning. They went on to win, and of course, not the way they expected that game to go, but another first inning home run for Cotuit, and here's the guy who hit that first inning home run yesterday, Araj Anu. McCullough looking to rebound. He starts Anu out with a backdoor breaking ball that misses just outside. And McCullough misses way outside, and Cotuit Kettlers fans really getting into it.
Yep, this is one of the fan bases that believe they had it in the bag as soon as they clinched a playoff spot. Keep in mind, this is the first team in the West to clinch, but then they fell all the way down to the 3 seed in the following weeks. And here we go, back-to-back pitches missed by McCullough, who falls behind here 3-0. He has not been in this situation a lot this year, as again, he's been Harwich's most trusted arm, save for Jacob Polish, but he's given up 1 run, and since then, he has brought himself into a 3-0 count.
McCullough looking to avoid putting on a base runner after the home run. The 3-0 is on the corner.
Yep, fastball in there for a strike. McCullough not going to miss that one very often. And again, he doesn't look rattled out there. He just looks a little less comfortable than he did a moment ago.
3-1, a check swing. He did go for strike 2.
Yep, and if Anu went through that, if it was strike 3, he would have had a chance to move up as the ball got past Sean Harrington. That's another part of the problem. Sean Harrington, the guy behind the plate today, and a couple of those balls are ones Pat Winkle would typically stop, but for Harrington, a couple have gotten by already. You wonder if that'll come into play later on.
Breaking ball swung on a miss for strike 3, so McCullough able to battle back against Araj Anu after falling behind 3-0, and he gets a much-needed second out here in the bottom of the first.
Yep, and now he'll have to face the cleanup man, Casey Schmidt. Schmidt was 3 for 6 yesterday, 3 singles. That's the other thing. There weren't a lot of extra base hits for the Cotuit Kettlers yesterday. There was the Araj Anu 3-run home run. But how about this, Colin? Going back and looking at the scorebook, I didn't really pick up on this. 16 of the 17 hits yesterday for Cotuit were singles.
Pretty remarkable when you think about it. The lone home run, of course, from Anu, the non-single. It's just a insane display of hitting, contact hitting from Cotuit. Couldn't find any gaps, though. So here's the 1-0 to Casey Schmidt. Hit on the ground to third. That's going to be foul. Tirada was able to backhand it a couple of feet in foul territory.
Yeah, but Tirada really has impressed defensively all season long. He's another one of those guys that hasn't had a lot of chances to play in the field for Harwich, as he was used very sparingly at the end of the year. But he's got a lot of length to him, and out there in that third base spot, he can really shine defensively and help Harwich out, making a couple of outs at the cot corner. And I think that actually broke a little bit of the bat there of Casey Schmidt as he goes and gets some new pine. So we'll see whether or not that helps him with a 1-1 count.
Mariners have won each of their last four games in which Connor McCullough was the starting pitcher. They trail 1-0 here in the first, and there's a ball to left field. Is it fair? It is carrying, and it is out of here. The second solo home run of the inning, this one off the bat of Casey Schmidt, and Cotuit is feeling it in Game 2. They lead it 2-0.
And this is just rare for Connor McCullough to be giving up shots like that. He's left a couple up, and you know, we'll see whether or not this continues. Again, Harwich has been in this situation before. They were down 3-0 yesterday, and we'll see whether or not they can fight back.
Connor McCullough had not given up any runs on the season on the road in his 3 appearances. So in 12 innings on the road, Connor McCullough hadn't given up any earned runs, but he's given up 2, both via solo home runs in the first, and Cotuit off to a strong start.
Yep, and here comes Colton Kessler. It was 2 for 4 yesterday. Another guy, I mean, the whole offense was really clicking for the Kettlers yesterday. We'll see whether or not that continues here, as McCullough's already given up 2 solo shots.
Check swing by Kessler, but the pitch is going to miss outside. Cotuit won the first meeting between these two teams that took place here at Lowell Park, but Mariners bounced back, won a game 9-1, not including the 12-0 lead that they had before the game was rained out, restarted, and Mariners came right back with the bats, but here it's a 3-0 count now to Colton Kessler.
Yeah, we've seen McCullough fall behind a couple of hitters here. He did fight back and get Araj Anu on a strikeout, but the 2 solo shots are really going to come back to hurt the Mariners. Again, they've got to get something offensively, as this momentum has really just shifted from Game 1 to Game 2 here for the Kettlers.
3-0 misses for ball 4, so it's a 2-out walk for Kessler. And with 2 home in the inning, the Cotuit Kettlers look to continue to extend this lead with Parker Chavers coming up.
Yep, Chavers, a guy who had a bit of a quiet afternoon yesterday, a 1 for 6 clip for him. Again, everybody in this lineup except for Dante Williams had at least 1 hit in yesterday's ball game. So that includes the guys that came in as pinch hitters. Mason McCorder was able to pick up a single. Richard Brereton actually went 0 for 1, and then Christian Robinson had a single as well.
So Parker Chavers out of Coastal Carolina takes the first pitch that's in there for a strike. 2-0 Cotuit as this bottom of the first continues. Connor McCullough trying to bounce back after 2 solo home runs to Matt Mervis and Casey Schmidt. The 0-1 misses outside.
I think the biggest concern for the Harwich offense is that since the 8th inning of yesterday's game, they have gone 6 consecutive innings without scoring a single run. The 5 extras yesterday, and now the extra first inning today.
Backdoor curve is in for a strike, 1-2. That was the 3rd home run of the postseason for Matt Mervis, the 2nd for Casey Schmidt.
Yep, and that's what it's been. I mean, all season long, we've seen guys that have had low power numbers come into the postseason for Cotuit and just mash home runs.
Swing and a miss, strike 3 on the changeup, and the inning is over, but not before a pair of solo shots puts the Cotuit Kettlers up 2-0 in Game 2. They lead the series 1-0 and are 1 win away from their 17th team history, or 17th championship in team history. Once again, 2-0 after one from Lowell Park. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. To the second inning we go from Lowell Park. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry. 2-0 Cotuit after a couple of big solo home runs from Matt Mervis and Casey Schmidt to lead off the ball game for the Kettlers. And Tyler, the pitcher out there, Sean Sullivan, finds himself in a similar situation the last time he started. He's got run support early.
Yep, and hopefully for Harwich, not as much run support as he got in that first game. As you mentioned, a 22-2 victory for Cotuit over the Harwich, or over the Wareham Gatemen. But here comes the guy who could help Harwich out. It's Pat Winkle, who yesterday went 3 for 7, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. And he is going to be essential to Harwich finding a way to get some of that momentum back, and more importantly, try to get a run or two back here in the second inning.
First pitch to Winkle from Sullivan misses low. Winkle had just 1 home run in the regular season. He has had 3 in the playoffs. UConn catcher starting to hit his stride here in this series. He's ahead in the count after Sullivan misses low on his first 2 pitches.
And talk about figuring it out at the right moment. Winkle had kind of had his fair share of struggles up until the end of the regular season, and then he had the RBI sac fly in Game 2 against YD. He had a big RBI double in Game 1.
He swings at the 2-0 and slices it foul out of play.
And where he hit those 2 home runs yesterday, both of them to straightaway center field at White House, I mean, those are home runs anywhere in the league. 397 to straightaway center here at Lowell Park. So again, he's got the power. The question is whether or not he can connect. And again, not trying to swing for the fences, just find a way to get on.
And he does just that. He grounds one past the diving Nick Gonzalez into right field for a base hit. So Winkle leads off with a single. That is now his 4th hit of the series, and we've only played a little over a game so far.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, the numbers coming out of this series are ridiculous. And you look at the at-bats and the hits and everything else, even if this game goes 2 games, people will look at the stats from the series, and it looks like it went 3 just with the sheer number of at-bats these guys have gotten. Noisy had 8 yesterday.
So in steps Hal Hughes, a guy who has been arguably the best hitter in the postseason for the Harwich Mariners, usually in the 9th spot, move him up to the 6th spot here in this game, and he watches an 88-mile-an-hour fastball high for a ball.
Yep, Hughes 1 for 7 yesterday, as you mentioned. One of the hotter hitters in the Harwich lineup throughout the course of the postseason, as he was hitting just a shade under 500 going into yesterday's game. But a 1 for 7 will drop that average a bit. Still one of the more reliable bats in the lineup for the M's.
Right-hander Sullivan delivers, and the fastball is on the outside corner.
And again, an interesting lineup to say the least, with Cavadas hitting 2nd, Hughes being moved up from his typical 9 spot to hit 6th, and then, of course, Sean Harrington in there, and no Chris Lanzilli.
Winkle not a huge threat to run over at first. The 1-1. Breaking ball, a high fly ball out towards left field. Chavers heading over to left center, and he makes the catch. So after the leadoff single, Hal Hughes can't advance the cause, and he is retired for out number 1 in the top of the 2nd.
Yeah, but that's exactly what Sullivan was going for there. He throws him the off speed and gets Hal Hughes to swing under that, pop it up to left, and now he'll get an opportunity to face another lefty in Mike Ludwig, who was 0 for 3 yesterday, but he had reached base in both of his at-bats prior to that, including a 1 for 1 with an RBI single. So we'll see whether or not he can start things fresh again and move the runner up with 2 outs, or with 1 out.
First pitch to Ludwig, misses low. Ludwig, one of 4 guys in that DH spot used yesterday, as it was Ludwig, who was then pinch run for by Marshak. Then Christian Fedko would replace Marshak at the plate. And then Ryan Smith in the 15th inning got his first appearance as a Harwich Mariner as a pinch runner. He he would be stranded to end the ball game as Ludwig waves at a good-looking changeup for a strike.
Yeah, not a lot he was going to do there. Sitting on something a lot faster and doesn't get what he's looking for. So he's empty-handed for now. The 1-1 count. We'll see what he gets here. Sullivan may try to blow one by him.
Here's the pitch. And he's going to go with the changeup once more, and this time it fades outside.
Yep, a runner on first, one away for Harwich. Riley Tirana standing on deck. He was able to reach base in all 3 of his at-bats yesterday, but went 0 for 1.
Runner going, pitches a ball, the throw down, and Winkle's out by a mile. I don't know about that one as the pitch is going to miss outside. It's a 3-1 count, but Ludwig didn't even swing the bat.
Yeah, and I don't really know what they're doing sending Pat Winkle on a steal. Again, this is a guy who has not stolen a base in his entire collegiate career. Granted, that's just lasted 1 season, but yeah, not sure what the kill was there as Winkle tried to take second and was out by a mile.
So with the base is empty, the 3-1 pitch misses outside, and Mike Ludwig is on base with a 2-out walk, and now you wonder what the inning would be like if it was 2 on with 1 away.
Yeah, and with Riley Tirana coming to the plate, Sean Harrington, who's looked good in the postseason so far, up after him. Yeah, I do not understand. And again, maybe it was the decision of Pat Winkle. We know that Coach Englert doesn't typically have the steal sign on from his guy, Coach Tebow, over there at third base. Typically, it's up to the guy's discretion whether or not they want to go, but just a head-scratching decision there for Pat Winkle.
Could also have been a failed hit and run. Maybe Ludwig didn't want to swing at a pitch that was pretty well outside. But regardless, 2 away in the inning, Ludwig on first, and Riley Tirada watches a first pitch breaking ball that catches the inside corner.
Yep, so far this postseason, Riley Tirada is just 1 for 4. He was 0 for 1 yesterday, but again, he reached base 3 times as he had a couple of walks and a fielder's choice.
Had a big walk that brought up Chris Lanzilli with a chance to win the ball game, but he swings and misses 0-2, and that's exactly what happened to Lanzilli. He struck out after Brereton got a huge strikeout, and that would end the bottom of the 11th inning.
And I know some people are saying, why is Nico Cavadas in the lineup if Chris Lanzilli is not? Well, Lanzilli is 1 for 19 with 9 strikeouts. Cavadas, while he came into this game 0 for 17, had reached base 7 times.
0-2 misses just outside, and I think another layer that you might want to add to that is the fact that Nico Cavadas is hitting .275 with 9 homers and 25 RBIs against right-handed pitching, whereas Chris Lanzilli just .255 against righties. So I'm sure lefty versus righty might have been a difference maker as well as throw over on Ludwig, and he's back to the bag in time.
And one thing of note that I think it's worth bringing up is, again, when you look at who's available out of the bullpen, and even for starters, you've got a guy who, or you only have 4 different left-handed pitchers available for this Cotuit team. So, it'll be interesting to see what's going on with that, as we've seen a lot of right-handed pitching, as this one's fouled away by Tirada.
Yeah, not a lot of options in terms of southpaws for Cotuit, but generally speaking, it's worked this season. They've had a lot of strong right-handed relievers that have gotten the job done in these games. A big reason why they are here 1 win away from clinching their first championship since 2013. Quick throw over on Winkle, and it seemed a little bit closer than that Ludwig would have expected, and Mervis applies the tag, but he is just back in time.
Yeah, they caught him a little off guard over there at first base, but ultimately he gets back in safely, so he'll take another standard league. Not a huge threat to steal over there at first base.
1-2 is a topper towards short. Oviedo has it. The throw is in time for the out. So after a couple of base runners, Cotuit able to get out of the inning. Through 1.5, they lead it 2-0 over the Harwich Mariners in Game 2 of this championship series. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Bottom of the second from Cotuit. Kettlers lead it 2-0 over the Mariners. And just a moment ago, the Cotuit crowd honoring Kettler Nick Gonzalez after winning MVP. I'm sure a special moment for a kid who was just on the team last year for 3 games and didn't really get an opportunity to show what he was capable of.
Yeah, now he has all of the opportunities. Quick update on the Pat Winkle steal attempt. It was supposed to be a hit and run. Apparently the sign just missed by Mike Ludwig, and so he did not swing, and that left Winkle completely out to dry over there at second.
Made a lot of sense because I don't think Winkle
would have been stealing of his own accord.
Yeah. I think he knows how fast that he actually is. So.
Yep, and especially after catching for 15 innings yesterday, you got to think his already not super fast legs, maybe carrying him a bit slower. But here we go. Adam Oviedo, Dante Williams, and Cody Pasek due up in the second inning for the Kettlers.
And Connor McCullough starts him out with a fastball up and in. Adam Oviedo, a huge difference maker, going 4 for 7 with the RBI and 2 runs scored, including that game-winning run, the game-tying RBI in the 9th inning. He swings, and it's a high pop-up towards the right side. Giving it a long chase is Cavadas, and he is able to make the catch. Wow, he had to go a long way into foul territory, but he makes the play for out number 1.
Yeah, that is just fantastic defense. Again, Nico Cavadas had to drift really far. Corey Acton was also chasing it, but Cavadas able to make the over-the-shoulder catch and put Oviedo out for out number 1.
So Dante Williams, the Arizona Wildcat, gets an opportunity. He was pinch hit for. He was actually forced out of the game due to the fact that they had Murphys come into the game as a pitcher. It kind of messed up the entire order. So Williams was replaced by the pitcher's spot, and here he watches a first pitch ball. Williams, in yesterday's game, went 0 for 3 with a walk, struck out twice. Has a home run this season against the Mariners, and he's ahead in the count as that pitch misses low. Here comes the 2-0 pitch, and that pitch will catch the outside corner. Quick correction on that last play is Corey Acton actually was the one who was able to go over and make that catch. We have quite the obstructed view over down the first base line, and both of them went back and kind of disappeared from our vantage point, but Acton was the one who came up with it. So Williams hits a towering fly ball out to left field. Over is Weimer. He makes the catch, and it's 2 up, 2 down for Connor McCullough in the second.
Yep, and that's a good sign. Just again, McCullough needs to get a couple of quick outs. Now he'll get a chance to face a Cody Pasek, who was 0 for 6 going into his 7th at bat yesterday. Was able to get a single in the 15th, and then eventually set up the Nick Gonzalez single that drove in the game-winning run.
So Cody Pasek, University of Maine product, swings and misses for strike 1, and I'm sure Cody Pasek went to bed tonight with ice all over his legs.
He may have just gone to bed in the ice bath. It may have just been easier that way for him to recover. Again, I mean, he just took an absolute beating yesterday.
The 0-1 swings and misses. He caught all 15 innings, and he's been doing the catching duties for pretty much every game of this postseason. Here he's behind 0-2 to McCullough, looking for his 3rd strikeout of the game. Here it is, and the breaking ball is fouled off the umpire.
So 3 of the last 4 series that have been played in the CCBL Championship have gone to a Game 3, the one exception being last year when the Wareham Gatemen went 2-0 over the Chatham Anglers.
Change up, swung on and missed for strike 3. McCullough pulls the string. He records his 3rd strikeout in his first 1-2-3 inning in the second. We go to the 3rd. Cotuit still leads 2-0. You're listening to the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Third inning from Lowell Park. Cotuit ahead of Harwich 2-0 in what could be the deciding game for the Cotuit Kettlers. If they win, they are the 2019 Cape Cod Baseball League champions. They need to record 21 more outs to clinch it.
Yep, they got a ways to go. And again, Harwich so far has been able to get hits against Sean Sullivan, which is a relief. Nico Cavadas had one in the first. Winkle had one in the second. So they've gotten base runners. Now it's just a matter of can they string them together and put together a really big inning here. We've seen Harwich score runs in bunches twice against Cotuit already. There was the game where they went up 12-0 before the rain came down, and then they won the makeup game by a score of 9-1. So this Harwich team is not a stranger to scoring runs against Cotuit, and trying to get it started will be a guy who has not had a shot against this team before. It's Sean Harrington, who gets to start at catcher and in the 9-hole today.
Harrington out of Babson College, just about an hour and a half north of here by Boston and Wellesley, Mass. And the left-handed hitting catcher digs in. First pitch from Sean Sullivan, misses outside.
Another really big crowd on hand here today. Yesterday, attendance numbers got up to 4,832 at White House Field. It was absolutely packed, but that crowd thinned out some by 11 o'clock in the game's conclusion.
Harrington with good opposite field power out to left field, but Shavers is waiting for it, and he makes a catch, so it's a quick out number one in the third for Sean Sullivan.
Yep, and back to the top we go. Dylan Noisy will lead things off. Noisy is hitting out of his mind this postseason. In addition to having a really good day yesterday, Noisy is hitting a cool .421 in the postseason. He is 8 for 19 with one extra base hit, 2 RBIs, and 4 runs scored.
First pitch breaking balls on the outside corner. Noisy was caught looking on a good breaking ball in the inside corner's first at-bat. The only strikeout so far recorded by Sullivan, but here he has Noisy down 0-2 on a fastball.
Yep, and Noisy's fallen behind in a couple of counts. He's done a pretty good job not biting on pitches that aren't to his liking, but you got to think Sean Sullivan's probably not going to give him much to work with here.
Breaking ball, this one is inside. Noisy out of Texas Tech, one of 2 Red Raiders on the team, the other being Max Marshak, who was available off the bench for the Mariners, as Noisy swings at one at his shoulders and somehow is able to foul it straight back.
And this is the thing, yesterday's game, going into those later innings, it seemed like guys like Dylan Noisy, Chris Lanzilli, Joey Weimer, they were all swinging for the fences. There was no semblance of just find a way to get on base, as this one misses low, Pasek with the block. So, you know, we'll see whether or not that mentality changes. You got to feel like it would here in a game 2, but it seemed like yesterday they were trying to end it with one swing or not let it end at all.
2-2 pitch. High pop-up heading towards the right. Pasek chasing it. Here comes Mervis, and it's going to be Mervis making the catch in front of the Harwich dugout. It's a quick 2 down in the third.
Yep, and here comes Nico Cavadas, who was 1 for 1 today. He had the single out to right field, and if Cavadas can get a good swing on one, he could potentially cut the deficit here. Again, he shouldn't be focusing on swinging for the fences, but we have seen what he can do all season long. There's a reason he was 3rd place in the home run derby this year, and the reason why he led everybody in the CCBL in regular season home runs.
First pitch breaking ball misses outside. He was tied for the lead with TJ Collette of the Brewster Whitecaps. 1-0 misses just low.
Of course, the bright sun shimmering off of those bright golden green cleats that Cavadas has been wearing all season long.
And time is granted before Sullivan can deliver the 2-0 pitch. Cavadas going to his hometown school at Notre Dame in his home state. And a big swing by Cavadas, but Nico can't come up with it. 2-1.
Yeah, once again, Cavadas not seeing a lot of fastballs. That's been a trend throughout the entire month of July. He's seen mostly off speed, and it's not like he's been sitting on fastballs either. He just hasn't really been able to catch up.
He swings it a 2-1 and slices it foul to the left.
It sounded like it caught somebody's car. Wonder whether or not that was yours.
I think mine's a little bit further back towards behind home plate. So
Good. This is one of 2 places where you really got to watch where you park.
2-2 is in the dirt, and that'll fill the count, I'm sure. Despite having to walk quite some ways, the people who parked way in the street far away from here are probably happy that they don't have to deal with that type of anxiety. The 3-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Cavadas comes up empty, and that is strikeout number 2 for Sean Sullivan. He has pitched 3 scoreless innings so far at Lowell Park, as the Cotuit Kettlers 6 innings away from clinching Cape Cod Baseball League championship. We're through 2.5 from Lowell Park. 2-0 Kettlers lead over the Harwich Mariners. You are listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. It'll be the top of the order due up for the Kettlers. Nick Gonzalez, Matt Mervis, Araj Anu. They were the ones who got this started as Mervis hit that solo home run back in the first inning. Then it was Casey Schmidt who also had a solo shot in inning number 1, and that is where we stand, 2-0 in the bottom of the third.
I mean, look at these offensive numbers. This team is batting .295 this postseason coming into today's game. They've now hit 11 postseason home runs, and oh yeah, by the way, they have 50 RBIs. Harwich, on the other hand, offensively, is an on-base percentage less than the batting average of Cotuit. Just the 5 home runs and 18 RBIs to their credit.
Gonzalez lines one just foul down the left field line, and that is 11 home runs in just over 6 games played. 6 games and so far 2 innings of at-bats for Cotuit, and they have 2 of those home runs here early. Team that has shown off their power all season long, Gonzalez being one of them. He did ground out in his first at-bat, and here he finds himself way in front of a Connor McCullough curveball at 71. So really taking some velocity off of that curve. Infield playing back, the 0-2. Another breaking ball, this one further outside, and Gonzalez is able to take it for a ball.
Yeah, Gonzalez, very patient. If you're going to fool him with something, it's going to have to be something close. And how many times have we seen, I mean, those close pitches that aren't in the zone, but he still goes out, puts the bat to it, and just finds a way to put it in play.
Calls 1-2, swing and a miss, strike 3. Got Gonzalez on the changeup outside, and there's a big strikeout. That's now 5 in a row set down by Connor McCullough, his 4th strikeout of the game, and 1 away in the bottom of the third.
I mean, he's really made just 2 mistakes this entire game, but those 2 mistakes could come back to haunt him as the Mariners do trail 2-0. Still well within reach, though. Harwich going to be throwing everything they have at this game as, again, there is no tomorrow if they don't find a way to win.
First pitch to one of the recipients of those mistake pitches, Matt Mervis, as he had a towering home run into the trees just beyond the right field fence.
Towering is right. That might be one of the deepest home runs we've seen hit this season.
Breaking ball misses outside. Not to be outdone was Casey Schmidt, who is 2 batters away from now, and he hit one that also hit the treetops. Was just barely able to keep that ball fair down the left field line. The 2-0 is on the outside corner of fastball.
Yeah, the traditional Cape Cod tree lines, kind of keeping whatever's behind that safe. As again, you've got roads and houses and whatnot back there.
That 2-1 is in the dirt. Yeah, pretty much every field that we play at, it's got trees behind it. I mean, even in Chatham, where in right field it's a road and a hill, but you look at left field and it's just all forest. 3-1 from McCullough. Breaking ball, and Mervis was way out in front of it, 3-2. 2 runs on 2 hits so far by Cotuit, both of them solo home runs. No runs on 2 hits for Harwich. Payoff pitch, swung on and missed for strike 3 as Connor McCullough now in a rhythm. 3 consecutive strikeouts, 5 on the game, and he's got the first 2 men out in the bottom of the third.
Yeah, he finally looks like himself again. He looks locked in. Again, since giving up the 4-pitch walk to Colton Kessler, he came back, he got Parker Chavers to strike out, then back-to-back flyouts, and now 3 consecutive strikeouts. So here he'll face Araj Anu, who was sandwiched by 2 home runs with a strikeout himself in the first inning.
Anu watches a first pitch changeup low. Araj Anu out of Orlando, Florida, drafted twice, both times by the Boston Red Sox. The 0-1 is The 1-1 is on the outside corner. He was taken out of high school in 2017 in the 28th round, and this past June in the 19th round. He swings and misses for strike 2.
He's way out ahead of the off speed, just once again delivering a breaking ball is Connor McCullough. He's been feeling that curveball. I mean, throughout the course of this game, that has been his best pitch, and if he can locate it as he has recently, that's deadly.
1-2 is up and away. If I'm not mistaken, both home runs were hit on the fastball, so maybe trying to mix in some more off speed to these dangerous Cotuit hitters. 2-2 to Anu. Skips in the dirt.
What McCullough did just one pitch ago was brilliant. He went with a curveball that broke down. He got Anu to swing at it. Then he followed it up with a changeup high. And if Anu had taken a hack, I mean, he would be expecting another breaking ball that might drop down and catch the zone.
Pitch is swung on and missed, strike 3. There's another breaking ball, and there's another strikeout for Connor McCullough, who strikes out the side swinging in the bottom of the 3rd. We head to the 4th, Cotuit 2, Harwich nothing. You're listening to Game 2 of the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series right here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. Harwich Mariners trail 2-0 in this game against Cotuit Kettlers, and Harwich Mariners baseball is sponsored by Curry College. Learning at Curry College extends beyond the classroom and is embedded in all that they do. Curry prepares students to engage in successful careers and active citizenship with a global perspective. Explore undergraduate majors, minors, and concentrations, including new majors in accounting, biochemistry, and software development. Online at www.curry.edu.
So Sean Sullivan back out for another inning here as the Harwich Mariners will bring to the plate Corey Acton, Joey Weimer, and Pat Winkle. So far, those 3 guys are 1 for 3. They single from Winkle in the 2nd inning, the only one. And Sean Sullivan's looked pretty good so far in this game. He's been mixing in all 4 pitches, and his stuff has looked really tough to hit.
Yeah, just the 2 strikeouts so far, but he's done a good job of limiting solid contact. He's gotten some weak fly balls, both to left and right field, and it just seems like he's been in control since the very start, and that's how it's been all season long with Sullivan. He's been a guy that doesn't really panic when falling behind in counts. He continues to be aggressive, and so far it has certainly worked against the Harwich Mariners.
So we'll see what happens with Corey Acton coming to the plate. Again, he is 0 for 1 with a flyout. Yesterday, he was 0 for 4, but he reached base on 3 walks and came across to score 2 of the 6 Harwich Mariners runs. We'll see whether or not he can find a way to step up here in a big spot and maybe give Harwich an opportunity to score some runs of their own here as they trail Cotuit 2-0. Acton stands in. Sullivan's first pitch, fastball in there for strike 1.
Acton out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, going just a short drive away to the University of Florida.
Here's a ball hit by Acton. It's a tough pick, but it's picked up by Gonzalez, and he'll have plenty of time to throw on the first in time. Actually, they say he caught that.
Yeah, he just was able to pick it up before it hit the dirt as Gonzalez got his glove under it. I think he threw over for good measure at first in case the umpire didn't call it, and that just shows the IQ of Nick Gonzalez in that situation. Just in case you still want to throw that ball onto first base to make sure you get the sure out.
Yeah, better safe than sorry. So here comes Joey Weimer, who popped up to the catcher his first time up. First pitch he sees is a breaking ball, and that's in there for strike 1.
Right now, no action in the Cotuit bullpen, and why should there be with the way Sullivan's been pitching? But it should be interesting to see who the next arm is to come in.
Sullivan's next pitch misses high and inside, and yeah, why not? A guy who has a 1.96 ERA throughout the course of the regular season, and now he has thrown 9 consecutive shutout innings here in the CCBL playoffs. The 1-1 to Weimer, taken back up the middle. That'll have a chance to roll through, and it will. So Joey Weimer is aboard here with 1 away for the Harwich Mariners in the 4th.
Good job by Weimer of squaring up that pitch and hitting it right up the middle. Not trying to get under the ball and drive it out of the ballpark. Just get on base, and that's what the Mariners need right now. It's base runners. They're certainly not out of this ball game with just a 2-0 deficit. They've been able to fight back in situations like this.
So here comes Pat Winkle, who had the single in the second inning, the hottest hitter in the Harwich lineup, rotating that position with Dylan Noisy and maybe even Hal Hughes, who stands on deck. But Winkle yesterday, 3 for 7, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. Today he is 1 for 1 with a single. And the first pitch he sees from Sullivan is crushed to right field. It is going to be back, but plenty of time to settle under it in right field to make the catch for Arajanu, and that is out number 2.
Yeah, that's just how it's been for Pat Winkle. Even the outs that he has made have been well-hit balls, and just couldn't quite find the sweet spot on that swing, and Anu was able to head back with a decent amount of room in right field to make the big catch for out number 2.
You and I both looked up, though, as soon as that ball came off the bat. It's always a possibility with Pat Winkle, especially here in the postseason. So here comes Hal Hughes, 2 away in the inning, runner on first. Hughes is 1 for 7 yesterday, 0 for 1 today with a fly out to left field. Hal Hughes out of LSU, looking to at least move the runner over, but with 2 outs, he's got to find his way on, and a pickoff move to keep Weimer close is not in time.
Crowd really just continues to grow as the innings go on. The bleachers still completely packed, and the area surrounding the bleachers also just flooded with fans.
So here comes the 0-2, or the first pitch rather, 2 outs in the inning, and it's a fastball in there for strike 1. Hughes going to have to be a little bit careful here. Of course, Sean Sullivan has looked good throughout this game. Just 2 strikeouts for him so far, but he's been getting a lot of soft contact, as you mentioned, Colin. And here comes, nope, another pickoff move over to first.
Hal Hughes now 6 for 19 in the postseason. Mentioned that big home run that put away game 2 of the YD series. 4-run 7th inning.
Sullivan looks over to Weimer, brings home the pitch. That one's taken up the left side. That'll get through, so it's another single as it rolls into left field. Parker Chavers picks it up, and Hal Hughes has put a runner in scoring position and himself the tying run on with Mike Ludwig coming to the plate.
Yeah, now all of a sudden the Mariners starting to square up the baseball more and more. Winkle didn't miss one by much, and this time Hal Hughes hits a rope through the left side of the infield past the diving glove of Adam Oviedo. So see if the 2-out magic continues for the Mariners. We talked about it all season long. Their ability to hit with 2 outs not matched by anyone else in this league.
And of course, with finally back-to-back hits, Harwich is out hitting Cotuit 4-2, but the 2 Cotuit hits went over the fence. So the score is 2-0 Kettlers here in Game 2 of the CCBL Championship Series. Cotuit looking to make it a sweep. Harwich looking to head back to White House Field with a game to play tomorrow. Ludwig stands in, his second at-bat of the day. He reached on a walk back in the first inning. Here comes the pitch, and the fastball will miss outside for ball 2.
Ludwig got a Wake Forest. His teammate Chris Lanzilli, as mentioned, not in the lineup with the right-hander on the mound, but definitely a viable option to pinch hit, whether it be a righty or a lefty, later in this ball game.
Yep, you wonder whether or not they'll go deep into the bench. That's really only 3 guys deep right now. Weimer bouncing around at second base. Here comes the pitch. And that is going to miss for ball 3. The other thing with the situation Harwich is in today, you really don't want to move the guy out of the DH slot unless you want to move Pat Winkle back to catcher, which is risky given how many innings he's caught. 3-0, fastball in there for strike 1 to Mike Ludwig.
Yeah, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense, especially with the only 3 viable guys right now on the bench in Christian Fedko, Chris Lanzilli, and Max Marshak. So be interesting to see what the late moves are from Coach Steve Englert, if he even makes any.
May just stick to his guns as the 3-1 on its way. Ludwig hits that one right at short. It'll be picked up by Oviedo, and he will go the short way to Nick Gonzalez at second for out number 3. The inning is over. Harwich once again can't strike for anything. We go to the home half of the 4th here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Welcome back to Game 2 of the CCBL Championship Series between the Cotuit Kettlers and the Harwich Mariners. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey. Connor Seckler going in Game 1. Bit of a tough outing for him as he gives up 3 runs early, and then again, Harwich unable to rally. Today, Connor McCullough, who gave up 2 runs early, also on home runs, but since then, he has been more or less locked down, and he will now face the heart of the order for a second time.
Yeah, it's been 7 in a row set down for McCullough, and 4 of the last 7 have been set down via the strikeout, and that includes the top of the order. McCullough, when he's locked in, there aren't many pitchers in this league that are better than him.
Yep, and that's been the case. But again, just 2 mistakes, a couple of high fastballs, 1 hung for Matt Mervis, 1 hung for Casey Schmidt, and 2 monster solo home runs. That is the difference here, is it's 2-0 going into the home half of the 4th. And Casey Schmidt, who had 1 of the 2 home runs, comes up to the plate now, 1 for 1 today. So far, 4 for 7 in the series. So here we go again. Connor McCullough ready to face off against Casey Schmidt. He was able to retire Matt Mervis the second time around. First pitch is a fastball in the dirt for ball 1.
Schmidt out of San Diego State University. One of the many big bats in this Cotuit lineup, but as you mentioned, had the huge home run back in the first inning.
The 1-0 pitch will miss outside. Similar spot as McCullough goes back-to-back fastballs low and away, and he's fallen behind Casey Schmidt here 2-0.
Crazy thing is both Cotuit home runs coming from two-way players.
And here is another moonshot to deep left field. Weimer chases it back. He looks up, and it is gone. Another solo home run for Casey Schmidt, and the Kettlers lead it 3-0 here in the 3rd. 4th.
The display of power just continues from the Cotuit lineup. Schmidt hits his second of the game. Another ball that cleared the fence by quite some distance as Weimer didn't even have a chance to jump up and make that play. And it's the two-way players getting it done. Mervis and Schmidt, they've been on pitchers for this team also at some points during the year, and 3 home runs between the 2 of them so far. A really, really tough start so far from McCullough trying to keep the ball in the yard.
And again, he has given up 3 hits. All 3 have been home runs, and well, that's kind of the MO for the Mariners. It's been they can't beat you if they can't hit you. For Cotuit, it's, well, we don't have to hit you a lot if we just put the few hits we do get over the fence. So it's 3-0 Kettlers as Colton Kessler takes the first pitch low and outside for ball 1. He will stand back in from the right side. McCullough's 1-0 pitch is going to be taken to short. Hal Hughes hits off of his knee, and that one's going to skip up and go off. An error, a rare error at shortstop for Hal Hughes, and the wheels really starting to fall off the bus a bit here, Colin.
Yeah, and to put that in perspective, that error, that's the second error of the postseason for Hal Hughes. He had just 1 in the regular season, so he's had a couple of moments where just hasn't been able to keep the ball in front of him. That one, he actually was able to keep it in front of him, but it's a ball that he usually comes up with, I would say, about 99 times out of 100.
So here is Parker Chavers. He is 0 for 1 with a strikeout today. Colton Kessler now standing on first base, the first actual base runner of the day for the Cotuit Kettlers. Still just the 3 hits given up for Harwich so far, and this one's going to be chopped, and there will be the first regular hit as the runner moves around to third base. There is a throw. It's a decent one. It gets past Terada. They will hold the runner up at third, but moving up to second is Parker Chavers. So it'll be Kessler at third, Chavers at second, and oh boy, here we go.
Yep, Chavers was able to just rip one through the right side. Cavadas couldn't quite get there in time. Kessler slid into third. The ball got away from Riley Terada. And I'm a little surprised that Kessler didn't go for home. I mean, you're up 3-0. Maybe try being a little aggressive. But, again, nobody out in the inning, so there's a good chance they'll be able to drive in Chavers regardless with no one out, and Connor McCullough starting to kind of unravel here in the bottom of the 4th.
Adam Oviedo coming up to the plate, and there's really nobody else to bring in after Connor McCullough. You could potentially go with Nick Stewart or Carson Seymour, although both of those guys through extended innings a few days ago in Game 2 against YD, as McCullough's first pitch to Adam Oviedo is missing for ball 1. You've also got Cam Bauman and Blake Espinal, but they've both been a little bit shaky. Devin Ortiz pitched yesterday, and then Tobin and Miller are both new guys that haven't seen extensive innings. So you really have to get a lot of innings out of McCullough as he spikes one in the dirt, and Sean Harrington able to make a good block. But the count goes 2-0 here on Adam Oviedo.
If things continue to snowball on McCullough, wouldn't be too surprised if Antonio Menendez got up and warming. He would probably be the guy to start for Game 3, but if you don't win here, there is no Game 3.
That is fair, and you would get into a really interesting situation for who pitches in Game 3. The other thing to think about is Antonio Menendez pitched, I believe, Game 1 of the YD series.
Game 2.
Game 2, sorry. So he has actually had...
Or wait. Actually, I completely messed you up there.
I was going to say.
He did pitch Game 1 of the YD series.
So Game 1 of the YD series. So Antonio Menendez has only had 3 days of rest?
Yeah, I believe so.
And he went 5 or 6 innings in that first game. Here's a 4-pitch walk issued to Adam Oviedo, and the bases are loaded for Dante Williams.
All right, turns out we were both wrong. He pitched Game 2 of the Chatham series. Pitched the clinching game in Chatham. So he has had plenty of rest, but he might not be having too much more rest as Coach Engler goes out to the mound. The bases are going to be loaded with still nobody out in this 4th inning.
And Dante Williams is the guy due up here. He was 0 for 4 yesterday, but he already has 1 big home run against the Harwich Mariners. He scored both runs in a 2-0 victory for Cotuit over Harwich earlier this year. And yeah, I mean, again, the bullpen's been stretched thin, and it's been for a number of reasons. A lot of it not the fault of the Harwich Mariners. You have guys like Buddy Hayward, who got injured earlier this year. You had an injury, of course, to Evan Shaver, of course, and then you had Tommy Vale, and you had Florida's
Jordan
Butler, and both of those guys just up and left partway through the season. So again, not a whole lot the Harwich can do about it as the first pitch is strike 1. They have made the most of their situation. They have done absolutely everything in their power, and not only have they made the most of it, they're here in the Cape Cod Championship Series with a very, very limited number of pitchers to use, and with Chris Galland going out as well, I mean, this team is stretched as thin as it possibly can be as McCullough's pitch misses outside and makes the count 1-1. It's incredible what they've been able to accomplish.
And you got to give a lot of credit to the coaching staff up and down. I mean, the Harwich Mariners staff has just done a great job of getting these players accommodated and bringing the best out of each of them individually and as a team.
Here comes McCullough's pitch. That is ripped up the middle. It's going to get past Hughes. That will score at least 1. They will wave the second runner. No, they will not. And that is a good thing for them because Dylan Noisy threw a strike to home plate. But an RBI single for Dante Williams is going to put 1 run across the board. The score is 4-0 Cotuit, and the bases remain loaded with nobody out.
I mean, what a postseason it's been for Dante Williams. This is a guy who just had 3 RBIs in the regular season alone. He's already got 4 runs batted in now in the playoffs. He has come to play, and that time he turns around a fastball right up the middle. Hal Hughes couldn't quite dive and make the play, and the crowd here at Lowell Park continues to get more and more restless as their team continues to drive in runs.
Cody Pasek at the plate, league MVP Nick Gonzalez standing on deck, nobody out, bases loaded. McCullough delivers a first pitch curveball that's going to be in there for strike 1.
I don't think there's a guy having more fun than the man at the plate, Cody Pasek. I mean, this is a team he grew up watching right here in Cotuit. Now he's got an opportunity to really bust this game open.
Here comes the 0-1. That'll be in there for a called strike, and the count goes 0-2 here as Connor McCullough looks to get out of this inning with minimal damage done. He's already given up 2 runs, but that's it so far in this inning. So again, Harwich could potentially get out of this with limited damage, but you feel like Cotuit, the way they're going, may score 1 more. Well, there it is, strike 3, a 3-pitch strikeout for Cody Pasek. The double play's now in play, and Pasek very upset with himself as he goes back to the dugout.
Yeah, he had a great opportunity to drive in some more runs, and that certainly is a big out number 1 for the Mariners. But they are far from out of the woods as the base is still loaded, and now you got the top of the order.
Yep, 1 out here for Nick Gonzalez, and again, the league MVP, 0 for 2 today. He had the decisive hit yesterday, and he's swinging for the fences here. Strike 1 delivered on the outside.
And we've seen explosions from the Mariners offense before this season at Lowell Park. This game's certainly not over, and getting out of this inning right now with just the 2 runs home in the inning would go a long way for the Mariners.
Certainly would. Infield at double play depth. There's a ball that's primed for it. Hughes to Acton, back the other way. Double play, and the inning is over. How about that? Harwich with a timely 6-4-3 double play, and they're able to get out of it with just 2 runs coming across. But Cotuit leads it 4-0. We go to the 5th here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go here to the 5th inning of play. And Colin, another big inning, but it wasn't as big as it could have been. A timely 6-4-3 double play gets Harwich out of some trouble.
Yeah, that was huge. And, I mean, that's a tough turn to make with Nick Gonzalez, the leadoff man, going down the line. It was a close play, a tough call over at first base, but a great flip by Hal Hughes. And what a return throw by Corey Acton. He really had to fire that on over to Nico Cavadas to get out of the inning. So now all of a sudden you can breathe a sigh of relief for your Harwich. You did give up 2 runs last inning, but boy, it could have been a lot worse.
And they're only down by 4. I mean, this is still well within reach, but as we go to the top half of the 5th, time is beginning to run short here for the Mariners, who only have so many innings left in the season if they can't find a way to manufacture some runs. Here's Riley Tirada to lead off the inning. First pitch he sees is a high fastball from Sean Sullivan that misses for ball 1.
And you remember the Mariners were down 3-0 early in yesterday's game, and they were able to come back and at one point take the lead. So this is a team that has fought back against the Kettlers before in the series.
They certainly have. We'll see whether or not they can do it again, as this one is going to be fouled away by Riley Tirada back behind us. Again, a very interesting atmosphere here at Lowell Park. This is a crowd that is more energized than I think we've seen most crowds be. And honestly, this is the first crowd I think I've heard ever heckling players out there on the field. They're really giving Harwich a hard time out there.
Yep, when you win 16 championships, I guess you've earned the right to be a little bit cocky.
Fair enough. The 1-1 pitch is in there for a strike. And, of course, they've had more success historically than recently, as since the turn of the century, they have had just 2 championships, 2010 and 2013, the same number as the Harwich Mariners, who won in 2008 and 2011. 1-2 pitch to Tirada, misses in the dirt, and the count goes 2-2 here on the XYD Red Sox.
And it hurts me to say this, but that's kind of like the Celtics fan complex. Your team's been really good, but you won 11 of those championships in the 1960s and 50s, so.
Here is a ball that is crushed by Tirada. This one may have a chance to the wall. It is gone. Solo shot for Riley Tirada, and the Mariners have cut the lead to 3 here in the 5th.
How about that? Riley Tirada, a late pickup in the season, who started the year with the YD Red Sox, and he's rounding the back. He's actually lost his helmet running around the base pass because he didn't know that ball was gone at first, but Tirada muscles up on one, hits it over the left center field fence, and all of a sudden Sean Sullivan has shown that he is mortal, and it's only a 3-run ball game.
And you love to see the hustle by Tirada. You mentioned he lost his helmet. He was turning around the bag at second so fast, and then he saw it drift over the fence. So 4-1 our score. Here's Sean Harrington. First pitch he sees is a fastball low, and now we'll see how Sean Sullivan responds to having gotten into some trouble. Of course, he still has a 3 runs of support with a 3-run lead. His 1-0 pitch to Harrington is a breaking ball in there for strike 1.
And it continues to be the story of guys who didn't really produce in the regular season coming up big in the playoffs for Harwich. To be fair to Riley Tirada, he didn't really get the opportunity.
Here's a ball that will miss low and in. Yeah, he was used very sparingly as the count goes 2-1 on Sean Harrington throughout the back half of the year, with guys like Tyler Keenan getting reps at third base, and then eventually Chris Lanzilli started to hit really well, as this one's hit right at second base by Sean Harrington. It'll be picked up by Nick Gonzalez, and he throws on to first for the first out of the inning.
Crowd has since calmed down a little bit after that home run, maybe a little bit of a reality check from Tirada. As we know, the Harwich Mariners can get hot in an instant, and we'll see if that home run for Tirada maybe lights a fire for this offense. Maybe not even in this inning, but down the road.
The one number that is still shocking for the Harwich Mariners is 0. They have 0 wins in games where they trail at any point by 3 or more runs. So they've trailed by 3 now. They trailed by as many as 4 in this game. They came all the way back yesterday as this ball is off the knob of the bat here for Dylan Noisy, who's coming to the plate for Harwich. But even after getting a 2-run lead and leading it 6-4, they end up dropping game 1 7-6. And again, all the momentum right now favoring Cotuit, as they have just poured it on after the victory in 15 innings yesterday. Noisy will take that pitch, a breaking ball for called strike 3. Noisy not happy about it again, but that'll be the second out of the inning.
Yeah, Noisy hasn't looked all that comfortable at the plate in this game. I'm not sure exactly what it is, and I think you got to give a lot of credit to Sean Sullivan. He's been just abusing that front corner, going curveball, curveball, curveball on him right on the front corner, and Noisy can't really do anything with that pitch.
First pitch to Nico Cavadas is a breaking ball that misses for ball 1. So here's another opportunity coming up. The 1-0 pitch, Cavadas with a big swing, goes through it, and the count goes 1-1.
Single and a strikeout for Cavadas, but that first hit was his first hit of the entire postseason. Let's see if that might spark something in Nico and see if he can help bring this team back within striking distance.
1-1 pitch, misses low and inside. Another fastball delivered home by, actually that looked more like a slider. Delivered home by Sean Sullivan. So with a 2-1 count, he will come from the windup, and the big righty kicks and fires. And that one's taken into deep left center field. That's got a chance back at the wall, and that is gone. An opposite field home run for Nico Cavadas, and the Mariners have cut the lead to 2 here in the 5th.
And at long last, Nico Cavadas with his 10th home run of the season. His last home run up until that point actually came against Cotuit right here at Lowell Park in a 9-1 victory. This time he goes the other way. A ball that just kept carrying. Not sure if that's getting out at White House Field. It's 330 down the line, but only 320 here. And that 10 feet made all the difference as the Mariners have cut the lead in half in the 5th inning.
And that was a towering pop fly. It looked like a pop fly out to left field, but it just kept going and going, and Shavers ran out of room. Big swing and a miss by Corey Acton, who lined out to the second baseman his last time up. He's 0 for 2. Acton's had a couple of big heroic home runs in the postseason so far himself. See whether or not he can maybe add one here and make it a 1-run ball game. He takes a big swing, and Nick Gonzalez comes over, grabs that ball, and fires it on to first in time for the 3rd out of the inning, but not before. The Harwich Mariners strike for 2, courtesy of solo shots from Nico Cavadas and Riley Terada. When we come back, it's a 4-2 lead for the Cotuit Kettlers. They look to add more on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey. I want to go back to a point that I made earlier about why it's more impressive, again, that the Harwich Mariners are in the position that they are in now. Again, they are here in the CCBL Championship Series, and they are without the services of Logan Allen and Bobby Seymour, who departed for Team USA. They are without the services of Evan Shaver, Buddy Hayward, Caden O'Brien, and Tyler Keenan, who all left the team with injuries. And they are without the services of Mike Rothenberg, Daniel Cabrera, Jordan Butler, and Tommy Vale, who all had to leave the team early, yet they are still here in the postseason. They are still fighting tooth and nail, and they trail it by 2 runs. New pitcher coming into the game for the Harwich Mariners. It will be Carson Seymour as Harwich goes from Wildcat to Wildcat, and Colin Seymour looked awfully good the last time he came out.
Yeah, he definitely did. He came in, and it was a starting, kind of like a starter, or opener rather, situation against Chatham, where Jared Weatherby pitched the first 2 innings. Then Seymour came in, pitched 4, only gave up 6 hits while surrendering 0 runs, walked 2, struck out 2. So Seymour gets a much different situation. His team trailing. His job to keep it a 2-run deficit going into the 6th.
Connor McCullough goes the 4 innings pitched. He gives up just the 6 hits, but 3 of them went over the wall for solo home runs. Part of the reason the Harwich Mariners trail in this one by a score of 4-2. But Colin, the game's still well within reach, courtesy of a 2-run, 2 solo home run inning for Harwich in the 5th. So we'll see whether or not they can maintain their momentum. First, they have to keep runs off the board, and that will not be easy with Matt Mervis, Araujo, and Casey Schmidt coming up to the plate.
Oh, yeah. Most dangerous part of the lineup for sure, especially today. And see if Seymour can keep the ball in the ballpark. That's basically the job. Ball's been flying out of here. 5 home runs combined for both teams so far. And we know that Mervis has the power, and we sure as heck know that Araujo and Casey Schmidt also can get the ball out of the ballpark. So a huge test for Seymour, but if he's able to get through this lineup, I'm sure he's earned himself a few more innings.
Really quickly, McCullough's final line: 4 innings pitched, 6 hits given up, 4 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. He did have the strikeout pitch working today, but he left a couple of high fastballs and paid the price for it. Here comes Matt Mervis to lead things off. He is 1 for 2, a solo home run and a strikeout. The strikeout coming back in the 3rd inning. Carson Seymour is taking over the pitching duties for the Mariners. The big righty kicks and deals. First pitch is a fastball at 94 miles an hour that will miss up and out. And, of course, for Carson Seymour, just the 2 pitches, a fastball and a curveball. And he is not afraid to pelt the zone with that fastball if the breaking pitch isn't working for him. Here's another fastball. That's going to be taken up the middle for a hit. Matt Mervis finds himself on, and for the first time in this game, the leadoff man will reach base. Actually happened with Casey Schmidt on the solo home run, and he came all the way around So a runner on base for Rajanu, who's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts.
Yeah, one thing I'm starting to notice is the fastball in general just hasn't been effective against the Cotuit hitters. They have been way out in front of breaking pitches, so you wonder if Seymour might pick up on that and adjust accordingly. But these guys have been all over every fastball that both McCullough and Seymour has thrown.
So Anu stands in, again 0 for 2 with the 2 strikeouts. He's due for a big hit for the Kettlers, and the first pitch is going to be in there for a strike. Another fastball by Carson Seymour. So 3 straight fastballs here, trying to really work on establishing the heater before he goes to his breaking ball. The big righty comes set and kicks and deals. Fastball low and away, ball 1.
Rajanu homered, of course, yesterday, but he homered in the first game between these two teams at Lowell Park, hitting from the left side. He was able to get one on the outside corner and take it the other way for a 2-run shot.
Here's the 0-1 from Seymour. That'll be fouled away. Anu way out ahead of that one, and somehow he's able to get the bat to it. So the count goes 1-2 here on Rajanu, who again was 3 for 6 yesterday. He had the 3-run home run that broke the scoring open for Cotuit. They led 4-1. Harwich fought their way back, tied it up in the 6th, went ahead by 2 in the 8th, blew the lead in the 9th, and then gave up the go-ahead run in the 15th. The 1-2 pitch. Breaking ball, Anu takes it to the opposite field. The Weimer will settle under it, and he makes the catch for out number 2. 1.
Yeah, it's a big first out with Anu at the plate because now all of a sudden, with 1 away, you got to get this guy out at the plate. Casey Schmidt, 2 at-bats, 2 solo home runs. That's been the difference so far. See if he can continue to be a difference maker and double this Cotuit lead with what would be his 3rd home run of the ball game.
And again, it's just been more of the same for a Cotuit team that's been hitting home runs all postseason. They now have 12 home runs, and this is just their 7th postseason game. So here we go. Seymour set, steals the first pitch, and that one will miss inside for ball 1. Another fastball here. Have not seen more than 1 curveball thrown by Carson Seymour, and it was the one that he got the foul or the fly out to Rajanu on just then. Runner on first is Matt Mervis. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. Fastball in the dirt, good block there by Sean Harrington. The count goes 2-0. Harrington getting a good opportunity here to show off in front of the scouts. Again, a guy who hasn't been really with any Cape League teams since the beginning of the year when he was with Falmouth, but he's picked up by Harwich the tail end of the year, and a really good opportunity today for him.
Advantage of being a local guy, he can be called in a pinch, the Walpole, Mass native.
Here's the 2-0 pitch. Foul away. That one just about hits the Cotuit cameraman out there. So the count is 2-1 here. Carson Seymour looking to find a way to get out of this inning with no damage done. He's already retired 1. Matt Mervis, the only guy with a hit in this inning, standing on first base. Seymour, a guy we didn't know if we'd see today in the game at a big spot here for the Mariners, the 2-1 pitch. And that comes up and in. It just hits Casey Schmidt, and there's no malintent there. The umpire is standing in between them. He's going to walk down as if Schmidt was going to do something. It was a fastball that missed up and in, but again, there's no malintent there at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Schmidt's exactly upset about in this situation. I'm not sure why they would want to hit a guy with a double play possibility at first. Sure, Schmidt's jumped the yard twice, but if they wanted to put him on, they would have just intentionally walked him. I don't know why Seymour's going to come up and in. So Schmidt takes exception to it, but regardless, he ends up on first base.
Yeah, Harwich isn't playing around in this game. There's no way that that was intentional, and again, Schmidt takes a lot of exception to that. So for one reason or another, the bases are going to be first and second. Matt Mervis at second base, Casey Schmidt at first. Colton Kessler coming to the plate. He has reached base twice, despite not posting an official at bat, as he reached on an error and a walk. Scored 1 run today. The left-handed hitter stands in. First pitch from Seymour. Misses low and inside. Momentarily gets away from Sean Harrington.
Also, why would he be hitting him with a 2-1 count? Wouldn't we get the job done right away?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, again, there was no malintent there, and everybody, I think, knows that, except for Casey Schmidt and a select few Kettler fans. But nonetheless, here we go. The count is 1-0 to Colton Kessler. An opportunity to maybe pad a few more runs onto this lead. And here comes Seymour's pitch. Fastball misses low. Count goes 2-0.
A Kessler guy who's doesn't have a hit in this game, but he's been able to reach base a couple of times, including scoring an unearned run last inning on a uncharacteristic error by shortstop Hal Hughes.
So Harwich looking to put all that behind them and focus up on the task at hand, which is getting out of this inning unscathed. Infield is at double play depth. Another low fastball misses, and Harrington once again struggles to corral the ball. He has really had a tough time squeezing that today.
Yeah, it's been good velocity from Seymour, but he's having trouble controlling it. He's already hit a man, and he's down 3-0 in the count. You don't want to walk the bases loaded with one away and a dangerous hitter in Parker Chavers in the on-deck circle.
I mean, there's a dangerous hitter in the on-deck circle every single at-bat, with the exception of maybe Cody Pasek. Everybody else has been just crushing it today. So here comes the next pitch. That'll be in there for strike one, right at the knees, and the count is 3-1 here to Colton Kessler.
And even with a guy like Pasek, sure, he doesn't have exactly dangerous power numbers, but he was leading the team in on-base percentage coming into this series, so he's a guy who can hurt you in other ways.
Kessler's going to have a big green light here with a 3-1 count. Runners at first and second. His team leading 4-2. Seymour delivers the pitch. It will be fouled away, and Seymour's got himself a full count here, looking for a strikeout.
Yeah, that one was heading right in the direction of where my car is parked, so fingers crossed on that one.
I guess we'll find out after the game. You can drive back home with a broken windshield. Lean your head out the window.
Yeah.
Try to see that way.
Hope not.
Here's the 3-2 pitch. And that'll miss upstairs. Ball 4 to Colton Kessler. Once again, the bases are loaded with one out for Parker Chavers.
Yeah, and Seymour really wanted that call, but I know home plate umpire Jeff Merzell wasn't going to give it to him. It was outside, and he just couldn't quite get it. That hasn't been a strike all game long, so the fastball struggling to find the zone with it, and now Chavers gets an opportunity here. He's already 1 for 2. Let's see if he can bring home some insurance runs, and out comes Coach Steve Neuenberg.
Yep, he wants to have a word with Connerson Seymour, who has not struggled this much since the beginning of the year. It's a bit of a rough start to Carson Seymour's year, but as he got more and more comfortable, he really became a solid 4-starter for this Harwich Mariners team. And again, in a rotation with as much good pitching as what Harwich has had this year, that is a tough spot to be in. So, you know, he's looked good. He certainly has the capability, and Harwich really doesn't have a lot of other options. We mentioned with Carson Seymour coming into this game, that leaves the following guys available to pitch. Antonio Menendez, who is probably not ready to go. Nick Stewart, who again pitched 3 innings 2 days ago. Cam Bauman and Blake Espinal, who have struggled. Greg Tobin and Sean Miller, who have not pitched extensive innings this year. And Smith, who has not had a single inning this year. Devin Ortiz, who has 1 inning left in him, and he did pitch 1 inning yesterday. So very shallow reserves in the pitching department for the Mariners. They need some extended innings here out of Carson Seymour after Connor McCullough goes just 4 innings.
I can't confirm there is a right-hander warming right now in the pen for the Mariners. Not entirely sure who just yet.
We will get an update on that as soon as we can. Next pitch is going to be in there for a called strike to Parker Chavers. The righties available are, as mentioned, Nick Stewart, Devin Ortiz, Antonio Menendez, and Sean Miller. So it'll probably be one of those guys. We will see what happens as this develops. The 0-1 to Chavers. Swung on and tipped foul. Another part of the reason why it's so impressive that Cotuit's hit all these home runs, not just this postseason, but in the regular season as well. Every single game that we've played at Cotuit at Lowell Park here, the wind is blowing in. I mean, for the most part, you do have a breeze blowing in from center field, and that makes it tougher to hit them out here. Part of the reason the dimensions are not as deep. Seymour's 0-2. Big curveball. That one is ripped to center field. Noisy has time. He will settle under it and make the catch. They will send the runner to third. He will be in without a throw. So runners at the corners, and it's going to be a sac fly as Matt Mervis comes home to score the 5th run of the Cotuit afternoon.
Well, it's certainly a good thing that that ball wasn't hit another 20 feet, or else this game could very well be over. So it's a long out, but a productive one for Chavers as he picks up his first RBI. The ball game brings home Mervis on the sacrifice fly.
Another RBI, runners at the corners, 2 away in the inning for Adam Oviedo, who is 0 for 1 today. He reached on a walk back in the 4th inning, a strikeout for him back in the 1st. He was 4 for 7 yesterday with 2 runs scored. Time is called. They want to tuck this over. And Coach Roberts yelling something to the home plate umpire. Not sure what that's about.
2 outs in the inning as there's an error with the scoreboard. They hadn't recorded the out on the sac fly.
Gotcha. So he actually helps the Harwich cause, making sure that that's right, although I'm sure he feels fine doing that up 5-2. The first pitch is on its way. Big swing and a miss. The fastball low, and Oviedo is behind to start the at-bat.
Yeah, Coach Roberts has been around a long time. He's all about the integrity of the game. I mean, I'm sure it's something he's definitely taught to his son Brian, who played in the major leagues with the Baltimore Orioles and New York Yankees.
Certainly not below certain stalling tactics, but that's an entirely different conversation for an entirely different day, as the 0-1 pitch is a breaking ball in there for a strike on the outer half, much to the chagrin of about half the crowd here.
Hey, if the town's not going to give you lights, you might as well take advantage of it.
Fair enough. So the 0-2, granted, with how much rain came down that day, you could have had all the lights you wanted in the whole wide world, and there was no way baseball was going to be played for more than a couple more innings. So here is the 0-2 from Seymour. That'll miss up. Harrington loses it. Runner takes off for home. He's coming. The throw is Seymour, and he is unable to get the tag on him in time. Another run comes across, and once again, it's Sean Harrington struggling to hang on to the baseball, and Cotuit leads 6-2.
Wasn't so much as him struggling to get to the ball. He got to the ball in time to make the play, but he kind of lobbed it underhand to Seymour. If he was able to overhand it, make a stronger throw, he would have had the runner Schmidt at the plate, but instead a great dive by Schmidt to get under the tag, and he's in safely, and Cotuit's lead right back up to 4.
Let me correct myself, not to get to the ball, but to hang on to the ball, as again, that's one that was in the dirt, but nothing too aggressive, no big spin on that pitch, and either way, it's going to net 2 more runs for Cotuit here in the 5th. Their lead is back up to 4. Harwich's 5th inning has basically been erased here. And the Mariners again face a very steep uphill battle if they're going to get this to a game 3. The inning is not over yet. Runner on second, 2 away. The 1-2 pitch swung on and taken to left field. Weimer can't get to it fast enough. They will hold the runner up at third. He stumbles, but nobody's covering the bag. So it's going to put runners at the corners here, and Adam Oviedo single, and bring Dante Williams to the plate with an opportunity to tack on a few more.
Yeah, it looked like Shavers was going to be held up by Coach Roberts at third regardless, but he actually completely slipped and fell. But luckily, Tirado was out for the cutoff, and Hughes wasn't on third at the time when he slipped, so was able to scramble back safely. But that's going to be it for Seymour, as not a really productive outing for him out of the pen. He couldn't even get through an inning, got hit hard, and just not what you were hoping to get out of Carson Seymour in this game.
So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll have an update on the new pitcher into the game, as Englert has mentioned or has motioned to the bullpen. So we'll have that when we come back on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry, Colin Casey, Game 2 of the CCBL Championship Series, and a pitching change being made here by the Harwich Mariners. They will turn to Nick Stewart, who has looked exceptional this postseason, but he did pitch 2 days ago. So again, a really short rest for both him and Carson Seymour. For Seymour, it did not work so well. We'll see whether or not the difference is made here for Nick Stewart. But again, his postseason run has been nothing short of fantastic. Taking a look at the numbers for Nick Stewart out of James Madison University, a 1.8 ERA through 5 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts, 0 walks. He's allowed just the lone run on 2 hits.
Yeah, in his last outing against YD, he went 3 innings, 9 up, 9 down with 4 strikeouts. And the fact that he was efficient might be the reason why he is available here today. His ability to pitch quickly to those Red Sox hitters has given him an opportunity to pitch in this game, but it's going to be a tall order. His team trailing by 4 and still runners at the corners with 2 away in the bottom of the 5th.
So Harwich will have to try one more time here to try to keep more runs off the board. Runners at the corners, Colton Kessler at third, Adam Oviedo at first, and Dante Williams, who is 1 for 2 today with a single, coming up to the plate. It'll be another righty here for the Harwich Mariners as they go from Seymour to Stewart. And again, Nick Stewart pitching on 2 days rest. Getting right back at it here out of the bullpen, which is now even fewer names left in it. Nick Stewart's first pitch. Fastball jumped on by the hitter, and that one's going to be taken into right field. It'll be a single that scores one. They send the runner around to third, and he is in with a face-first slide. It gets past the glove of Terada, but bounces off the third base umpire, Mike Finn. And it's going to be an RBI single for Dante Williams. The lead has been extended here to 7-2.
Yep, another piece of timely hitting from Williams. This time he's able to get one through the right side of the infield. There's been a couple of hits where it's just gotten through, and that's one of the issues defensively for Harwich. Not a ton of speed over on the right side of the infield with Nico Cavadas and Corey Acton. The ball gets through, and third run of the inning comes home.
So here comes Cody Pasek. He is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. In the series, he is 1 for 9 with 5 strikeouts. Pasek due for a big hit. Time is called by the home plate umpire, and fresh count.
Yeah, Pasek hasn't had the best of series defense or offensively with 4 strikeouts so far in the 2 games, but he had that big hit to keep the inning alive in the top of the 15th.
First pitch into him will miss on the inner half for ball 1.
Of course, that would bring up Nick Gonzalez, who's in the on-deck circle, who would end up driving in Adam Oviedo and eventually giving Cotuit the Game 1 win.
And once again, Nick Gonzalez stands on deck. If he comes up to bat, the Cotuit Kettlers will have batted around the order here in the 5th. Hard hit ball, that gets through the gap. Another single that will score another run. They will send Dante Williams to third. Once again, he will reach sliding in, and the hit parade continues as Cody Pasek comes through with an RBI single of his own, and the Kettlers lead 8-2.
Well, quite frankly, this is a team that is playing with such confidence. I mean, you see the confidence kind of just emanating from this ballpark as you got the fans also feeling confident ever since the Cotuit Kettlers took an early 2-0 lead, and it seems like the players have really been feeding off of it. Everybody up and down the order once again delivering when it matters the most.
The last 4 guys up to bat have had RBIs. A sac fly from Chavers, and then 3 singles for Oviedo, Williams, and Pasek. The first pitch to the MVP, same spot, up the right side. Another run comes across the score. This time, they will hold Cody Pasek at second, and the lead is now 9-2 Cotuit.
I think that might be the 5th single in this game that has gone through that hole between the first baseman and second baseman. I mean, it's just been killer. Stewart's kind of shaking his head. He's saying, they're not hitting the ball all that hard, but they're finding the holes. And for Cotuit, they just continue to pound away at Harwich Mariners pitching, a pitching staff that was the best in the entire league all season long.
The book has already closed on Carson Seymour. He goes 2/3, 2 hits, 4 runs, all earned, 1 walk, no strikeouts. And here comes Matt Mervis, who's already got a solo shot and a single. He led the inning off with a base hit back in the 5th, this same 5th inning, and came around to score on the RBI sac fly from Parker Chavers. Counts 0-1 as Stewart's delivered strike 1. Here comes the 0-1 pitch, and that is going to miss outside a breaking ball for ball 1.
And both outs fly outs so far for Cotuit, but one of the 2 outs, a productive one in Parker Chavers. He flew out to center field and brought home at the time the first run of the inning.
The inning is not over yet, as again Matt Mervis, who led things off with a single, up again, and he will take a ball, same spot, right side in between first and second. That will score 1 run. They will hold the runner at third. Runners at the corners, RBI single, and the lead is 10-2.
Second hit of the inning for Matt Mervis. They actually might rule that one an error, and it looks like they did, as Cavadas was in front of it, but he couldn't quite make the play, and a run's going to score. So that right there, an unearned run, and the nightmare inning continues for the Harwich Mariners.
That is the 11th hit. Actually, they ruled an error. There are 11 hits in this game. Here comes Araj Anu. Anu is the only one without a hit today on this Cotuit team. He is 0 for 3. Runners at the corners. Cody Pasek came around to score on that last play. Nick Gonzalez now stands at third base. First pitch misses for ball 1. You can't blame Nick Stewart here. Again, he's on 2 days rest, and he hasn't been hit all that hard, but it's just been single after single as Cotuit has shredded Harwich finally with paper cut after paper cut. Pitch misses in the dirt. Harrington once again loses it momentarily, but he's able to get it back.
And if you think about it, they could have been out of this inning if Harrington was able to make that toss home and get the play, but instead, Casey Schmidt dove under the tag, and the inning continued, and it just completely snowballed.
Here comes the 0-2. That one's chopped. Hughes backs up, picks up, throws to first in time for out number 3. And finally, the inning is over. Harwich concedes 6 runs, and it's now a 10-2 lead for the Cotuit Kettlers. When we come back, Harwich will head into their half of the 6th inning here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Lowell Park for the 6th inning of Game 2 of the CCBL Championship Series. Colin, maybe the most staggering number this entire series have been how Cotuit has gotten their runs. Again, they scored 7 runs yesterday. They have scored 10 runs today. Let's look at the offensive production for them. So far, here's all it is. 24 singles, 0 doubles, 0 triples, 4 home runs.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I mean, anytime they're not singling, they're hitting the ball over the fence, and a lot of it, too, just finding the right holes. I mean, you saw how many of those balls got through the right side of the infield, and it's just another game where Sean Sullivan has been the beneficiary as, once again, he pitches with quite the lead, an 8-run lead here for the Cotuit Kettlers.
If Harwich were to somehow, some way come back, it would be one of the greatest comebacks in Cape League baseball history, but they have got their work cut out for him. Joey Weimer on the first pitch takes it to deep shortstop, running to first. It's going to be close, and they will get him. A good throw from Adam Oviedo catches Joey Weimer at first base.
Yeah, definitely a tough play for Oviedo. He's got a strong arm. Sometimes he has trouble controlling that ball when he's throwing it, but this time throws on the money and just enough to get the speedy Weimer.
So Weimer is down. That will bring to the plate Pat Winkle. Winkle standing in. Here comes the first pitch to him. That'll miss in the dirt. Ball 1.
Winkle 1 for 2 after the big game yesterday. Had a sharply hit single through the right side and also hit one well out towards right field, but couldn't quite get enough of it.
1-0 pitch misses outside. Winkle staying patient here. And the count goes to 2-0. The pitch taken into left field. This one hanging up as chasing it back to the wall is Chavers, and he'll settle under it with just enough room and make the catch for out number 2. So Harwich is down to their final 10 outs of the season, trailing here by 8.
Yeah, and you know, they've been able to put the ball in play on Sullivan after a couple of strikeouts early. Just 3 strikeouts so far through 5 2/3 for Sullivan, but they haven't had quite the success in terms of when they put the ball in play for Cotuit. It's been the power making a difference for Cotuit, and not only that, but the fact that they've been able to find each gap and been able to keep advancing the line, even with 2 away in the inning.
So here comes Hal Hughes, who's got a base hit today. Watches the first pitch miss up for ball 1. Again, Hughes, a relatively small strike zone, able to use that to his advantage as he has reached base a number of times this year. Pitch fouled away. Count goes 1-1 here on Hal Hughes. Hughes going to have to be careful here, trying to be cautious with Sean Sullivan out there for his 6th inning of work. He misses up and in. Hughes has to duck out of the way, and the count is now 2-1.
Yeah, and for Sullivan, they can kind of keep rolling with him. He's been relatively efficient. I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to go out for a 7th inning should he get out of this 6th cleanly.
I mean, why not? With the way he's been pitching, you got to think the bullpen's already taxed. You don't want to risk bringing somebody in that's not going to be able to shut down any more Harwich hitters as the count goes 2-2. That one a called strike on the outer half.
It's been a long time since the Mariners have found themselves in this spot. The last time they trailed by 5 runs or more in a game was against Orleans back on July 25th.
Hughes fouls it off. That was a game that did not go the Harwich way, as Orleans would eventually go on to win that one. And Hughes golfs to the pitch in the dirt for strike 3. So that will end the top of the 6th inning. We go to the bottom half of the 6th. Cotuit looking for more. They lead it 10-2 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. New pitcher coming into the game here for the Harwich Mariners. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, got to talk about what happened back in the bottom of the 5th inning as Cotuit was able to strike for 6 runs, a staggering number. They just absolutely came out and hammered the Mariners, and part of the reason why they now lead by a score of 10-2.
Yeah, it was a tough inning, and now we'll be up to Cam Bauman to get his first opportunity in the playoffs for the Mariners. Bauman, of course, a relatively reliable arm in the regular season, and this time he'll get an opportunity. His name's actually not on the postseason roster, but I can assure you that's him wearing number 15, the left-hander. So Bauman out of Iowa gets a chance, and obviously not too much pressure on him as this game very much out of reach at the moment. But hey, the only way to come back is to keep it as minimal as possible.
So we'll see what happens here. Again, Cam Bauman has been roughed up a bit in his last couple of outings. It seemed like he was doing really well for Harwich up until the game where he took a pitch off the bat of Dante Williams back up the middle. He caught it right on the cheek, and he did exit that game. He was okay afterwards, but since then he has not looked like the same Cam Bauman that we saw early on in the season. So we'll see what he has to work with here. But again, fastball, curveball, changeup is the set for Cam Bauman. We'll see what he can do trying to hold the deficit at an 8-run ballgame. So we'll see if the lineup, I'm assuming the lineup will probably stay the same for the Cotuit Kettlers up until the back part of the inning. As due up here is Casey Schmidt, Colton Kessler, and Parker Chavers. Schmidt has reached base in all 3 of his at-bats, 2 home runs and a hit by pitch. He has also scored in all 3 of his at-bats. Little to no surprise there. So here we go, Casey Schmidt standing in. And the first pitch from Cam Bauman is on its way. And it is popped high in the air back into foul territory for strike 1.
And for Stewart, he came into an unfortunate situation on very little rest and couldn't quite get out of the inning unscathed, and just a tough spot to be in, especially for a lot of these pitchers that haven't had a whole lot of rest.
Yep, he ends up allowing 2 runs in this game. But again, you mentioned very short rest as he pitched just 2 days prior. So not a lot you can expect out of him there, as the 1-1 count is what is set up here for Casey Schmidt. Here comes Bauman's pitch. And that is going to be hit sharply but into foul territory down the left field line, as Schmidt may have been looking for his 3rd home run of the day.
And someone out in the Cotuit bullpen tried making a play on that ball and couldn't catch it, so I'm sure he'll get an earful from his teammates, but all in good fun with them leading 10-2.
Yep, and this is the end of the road. Of course, there were 10 teams in the CCBL just a week and a half ago. Now there are only 2, and depending on how things go, if the score holds, there will only be 1 left standing when all's said and done today. The 1-2 pitch. That is crushed into straightaway center field. Noisy chasing it back to the wall, and he makes the catch just shy of the warning track for out number 1.
Casey Schmidt for a second thought he had home run number 3, but despite the relatively short center field here at Lowell Park, couldn't quite get enough of it. You mentioned the wind. That could have been a factor, knocking that ball down a little bit with the ocean just about a quarter of a mile from the tree line out in center field. So Schmidt just misses his third home run of the game, and he's finally retired for the first time in game 2.
Bauman gets the first out of the inning. Now he'll face Colton Kessler, who's also reached 3 times today. A walk, an error, and another walk. No official at bat for him in this game, but he has come around to score 2 runs. Here comes the first pitch, and it's in there for strike 1.
Yeah, no hits for Kessler, but 2 runs scored. Making the most of whatever opportunities the defense and pitching has given to him.
This game has gone a lot quicker than yesterday's, obviously. A 5-hour affair at White House Field yesterday as this ball is hit up the middle. That'll get past the outstretched glove of Corey Acton, who was trying to come over and corral it, and Kessler has his first hit of the inning.
Yeah, I feel bad for Corey Acton because he's been running left and right. All these balls that have not been hit right to him. It's just been either 10 steps to his left, 10 steps to his right, and for the most part, he hasn't been able to get to any of them, and that's a problem when you're playing second base. Anything hit to the left, it's probably your ball. Anything hit up the middle, it's either yours or the shortstop's.
Well, and that's the thing. He slid over to play closer to first base where all the balls were going, and, well, there goes one up the middle. So nothing he could do there. Runner on first, 1 away. Parker Chavers coming to the plate. And here comes the pitch. That's in the dirt. Once again, it gets past Harrington. Nobody advances there. It's been a tough day for Sean Harrington behind home plate.
Yeah, but you can imagine that it would be also a tough play equally for Pat Winkle, who's just probably exhausted in terms of defense. That's why they still have his bat in the lineup, but defensively, he has been kind of taken to the end of his rope.
1-0 pitch in the dirt. And that'll miss for ball 2. So he starts off Parker Chavers with back-to-back pitches out of the zone. Chavers is just 1 for 2 today. He also had the RBI sac fly back in the 5th inning. Runner on first, 1 away, the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 1 issued here by Cam Bauman on a nasty breaking ball.
And Bauman touching 78 on the breaking pitch, so not overwhelming stuff with a fastball, but he's got some crafty off-speed pitches that he has and has used.
2-1, another breaking ball. This one at 77 miles an hour, but that'll miss up and out to Parker Chavers. You get the feeling Cotuit's not content with the lead that they have. They'd like to pad a few more on here. Anything can happen in the CCBL Championship Series, but they've got to feel comfortable with an 8-run lead, at least for the time being. 3-1 pitch. Swung on and fouled away back to the Harwich bullpen, and the count is full here on Parker Chavers.
And the thing is with Cotuit, they wouldn't be in position to win this series right now if it weren't for the efforts of Richard Brereton yesterday. What a difference he made going 6 innings. And also shout out to Sean Sullivan so far going 6 innings and giving that bullpen a much-needed breather.
Richard Brereton, maybe the unsung hero of the entire season for the Kettlers, as the 3-2 is swung on and missed. Parker Chavers goes through it for strike 3. Cam Bauman's first strikeout of the day. But honestly, if I'm in the voting committee, there are a lot of guys you can go with offensively, but it's been a team effort. It's not like one guy has really carried this team offensively. The one guy that carried this team was Richard Brereton, as he came in yesterday with no warm-up pitches, no bullpen. He throws 6 scoreless innings, gives up just 1 hit, and strikes out 5 guys. That got them in a position to win, and simply put, part of the reason why they're in a position to win this series right here.
And remember, he came in with 2 on and nobody out in the bottom of the 9th inning in a tie game.
He certainly did. Here comes the first pitch in, and that'll miss the low to Adam Oviedo.
I mean, Cotuit's been known for their bats, but sometimes it's just the pitching that you get, and it makes a whole difference in this series. And for Harwich, some of their reliable pitchers just haven't quite gotten the job done so far.
1-0's a fastball in there for a strike. Cam Bauman, another guy that doesn't have too aggressive velocity, but he gets the job done with the off-speed pitches when it matters most. Harwich down to their final 9 outs on the other side of the break, as it will be Mike Ludwig, Riley Terrata, and Sean Harrington due up for the M's. 1-1 pitch, fouled away.
Not sure if anyone is warming right now in the Harwich bullpen. It does actually appear that someone is stretching and tossing, so we'll see how far Bauman goes. I wouldn't be surprised, though, if he gets another inning, especially if he's able to keep things clean.
You got to think this may be the time of the game where we see a guy like Blake Espinal come into the game. Could also be somebody like Devin Ortiz, not David Ortiz. Well, with the 1-2 count, here comes the pitch. That one's fouled. Oh, right off of Coach Mike Roberts, who appears to be okay. He waves off the trainers, and he's going to get a round of applause. He took a line shot off the upper body, and how about Mike Roberts.
Yeah, it looks like it glanced off of his shoulder, and it's a great thing that they're wearing helmets over there at third base. It's a big reason why you got to be protected on some of those line drives. Couldn't quite get out of the way, but good to see that he's all right.
So back to the batter. The 1-2 count, swing and a miss, strike three. Back-to-back strikeouts for Cam Bauman, and the inning is over. Nobody comes across the score for Cotuit, but they still lead 10-2. We go to the 7th inning of play after this on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to Lowell Park. Tyler Henry alongside Colin Casey as we go to the 7th inning of play. I want to remind you that today's game is brought to you by Cape Cod Healthcare. Cape Cod Healthcare is the leading provider of healthcare services for residents and visitors of Cape Cod, with 2 acute Cape Care hospitals for more than 450 physicians. For more information, please visit capecodhealth.org. Cape Cod Healthcare, expert physicians, quality hospitals, superior care.
So we head to the 7th inning, 10-2. Cotuit still leads. They hang on to this game. They are the 2019 Cape Cod Baseball League champions, and they would win their first championship since the 2013 season. Sean Sullivan is on for his 7th inning of work, and why not? Outside of 2 solo shots he surrendered in the 5th inning, he has been phenomenal.
Yeah, and I mean, again, he hasn't really given up a whole lot. Just the 2 home runs, a couple of singles for him as well, as Harwich has gotten 6 hits off of him, but at the end of the day, he has 8 runs of support. You have a very taxed bullpen here at the tail end of the season. You might as well keep him out for another inning if you can, and that's exactly what they'll do, sending him out to pitch the 7th.
He will face the bottom of the order, Mike Ludwig, Riley Terrata, Sean Harrington. Ludwig 0 for 1 with a walk, also grounded into a force out, and a promising 4th inning for the Mariners, but they weren't able to bring home any runs. They were trailing just 2-0 at that time, and then Cotuit was able to add 2 more to stretch the lead to 4-0. For Harwich answered with 2 home runs in the 5th, and then a 6-run bottom of the 5th inning for Cotuit has us at 10-2. Sullivan's first pitch, a fastball on the outside corner.
And it was looking so promising for Harwich after they had the 2 home runs in the 5th inning. They cut the lead to 2, and we're thinking, all right, we got ourselves a ball game, and then the very next half inning, just a huge run for the Kettlers.
They've been able to drive in insurance runs, and right now it looks like it might lead them to yet another Cape Cod Baseball League championship, and Ludwig swings at a pitch at his eye level and can't come away with it.
At some point when you have 6 All-Stars in the lineup and the other 3 guys are all hitting above 300, it's just going to be tough for anybody to slow you down, even a pitcher as good as McCullough, as that's swung on and missed for strike 3 by Mike Ludwig.
Yeah, Ludwig fooled on the breaking ball. Another strikeout for Sean Sullivan, his 5th of the ball game. Hasn't really been using the strikeout pitch, but he's been able to mix it in from time to time, and now he's got the Cotuit Kettlers 8 outs away from another championship. Riley Terrata digs in. He's 1 for 2 with a solo home run to left center field. And he lays a first pitch off, but it is on the outside corner. Terrata, that his first home run of the season in general in the Cape League. Of course, he spent some time earlier in the year as a backup infielder for the YD Red Sox. His time is granted to Terrata before Sullivan comes home.
Yep, Terrata wanted a minute to think about the next pitch that may be coming in here, as, again, it seems like the Mariners, I mean, again, they look so tired after the 15 innings, and then they got energized again with the 2 home runs, but an absolute sucker punch delivered by Cotuit in the 5th inning. That's going to be tough to come back from.
Chopper fouled towards the Cotuit dugout. Mariners, of course, how they got here, a couple of sweeps of the first-seeded Chatham Anglers and the very formidable bats of the YD Red Sox, able to make quick work of both of them, but they have run into an offensive juggernaut in the Cotuit Kettlers in the championship series. The 0-2 misses low to Riley Terrata. Cotuit able to win a huge Game 3 on the road at Wareham, and then sweeping the top-seeded Falmouth Commodores to make it to the championship series, as Another ball in the dirt.
Yep, and with a 2-2 count, Torada's going to have to get protective here. He's already fallen behind once and grounded out.
The pitch just outside. A good take by Torada. That was very reminiscent of that pitch he took in the 11th inning with a full count to bring Chris Lanzilli to the plate last night with a chance to win the game, but unfortunately that went by the wayside. So 3-2 count to the Dayton Flyer. And the pitch is hit off to the right, but that will make its way into the trees.
And you wonder whether or not we'll even see Chris Lanzilli come into this game. Again, him and Christian Fetka were both staples of this team going into the final few weeks, but and the way Lanzilli's been swinging the bat, just trying to hit home runs, you really don't sustain that when a guy's 1 for 17 with 7 strikeouts.
Another payoff is lined out to right. That's going to get down the right field line for a hit. Torada's going to turn for second. The throw is not going to be in time, and it is a one-out double for Riley Torada, his second extra base hit of the afternoon, and the Mariners are looking to chip away at this huge deficit.
Well, once again, Riley Torada getting it done with 2 strikes on him. He did it with the home run in the 5th inning. Now he does it with a double here in the 7th, and the Mariners are in business. They do trail by 8, but again, they have the offensive capability 1 through 9 to make some kind of a crazy comeback here. It's just a matter of whether or not they have enough gas left in the tank to try.
Coach Mike Roberts takes a look at his lineup card. You wonder if he's thinking about making a move relatively soon, as Sullivan is in his 7th inning of work. First pitch misses outside. He's only gone 7 innings once this season.
I mean, he is in the 7th inning, but again, the breaking stuff is looking good. His slider and curveball have both still continued to break. His fastball still has plenty of velocity. Really no reason to pull him yet unless he gets himself into some trouble.
Harrington swings and sends one in the air off to the left, and that will make its way towards the back of the bleachers.
Yeah, not a whole lot going on there. So the count is 1-1 here on Sean Harrington, just his 9th at bat as a Harwich Mariner.
Torada stands on second. Just one away in the top of the 7th for the Mariners. Pitch fouled once again off towards the parking lot.
As Colin crosses his fingers.
Just making sure I don't hear the sound of glass shattering.
Some stadiums do play the shattering glass audio bite when balls go out of the park like that. Probably not very funny to a lot of people here. Yeah, not here.
1-2 count to Harrington. Sullivan looks over at second. Now he comes home. That ball's lined into right center field. That's going to be a base hit. They wave around Torada. He will score. It's an RBI single for Sean Harrington as he produces in this game too. And the Mariners now trail 10-3. And Coach Mike Roberts going to head out to the mound.
How about that? Sean Harrington again. He has been really good in a small sample size with the Mariners this year. So, you know, we were a bit surprised to see him starting in one of those games against Whitey when we got to the ballpark. But no surprise to see him in there today after Pat Winkle caught all those innings yesterday, and this will be the end of Sean Sullivan's outing, but he will get a standing O from the crowd as he pitched an absolute gem today. He does give up 8 runs and 3 hits, but with a 7-run lead, he will exit the game in fairly good hands.
So the Cotuit Kettlers will make a pitching change. When we come back, we'll tell you about it. But top of the 7th inning from Lowell Park, 10-3, the Kettlers lead in what could be the championships clinching game for them. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. New pitcher for the Cotuit Kettlers. It's going to be the left-hander, one of the rare lefties in this pitching staff. It is Nick Jones. Jones out of Georgia Southern. gets an opportunity here. He has pitched in 2 games in the playoffs for Cotuit. Started one of them, has gone 3 2/3 innings, giving up just the 1 run. So he was kind of used as an opener, and so far he's found some success this playoff season. Just the 1 earned run given up and 5 hits in those 3 2/3.
And one of the most rare things in the entire universe, a left-handed Cotuit Kettler pitcher. We have not seen one this entire series, but finally they are going to bring one in here. So Nick Jones will be called upon to try to close things out here. You wonder whether or not they're going to use him for the last couple of innings or just this one, but nonetheless, he is the pitcher into the game, and he will not inherit Sean Harrington at first base, with Dylan Noisy coming up to the plate.
Jones stands at 6'6", the second tallest pitcher on this Cotuit roster. The only one taller, Jackson Wolf, another left-hander out of West Virginia, who the Mariners have roughed up a couple of times, but Wolf not getting any action so far in this series. And we're going to get a pinch hitter as Christian Fedko will come to the plate. He will bat for Dylan Noisy.
What a weird postseason Jackson Wolf had, who was one of the better starters for this team throughout the course of the regular season, but in the postseason, he started 2 games. He couldn't even get through the first inning in either one. He finishes with an 81 postseason ERA.
Not what he's looking for, but in the end, it might not matter if his team's able to win a Cape Cod Baseball League championship. So here's Fedko, who came in as a pinch hitter in yesterday's extra inning affair. First pitch goes off the glove of Cody Pasek, and that will allow Sean Harrington to advance to second base.
Yep, Fedko looking to make something happen here. He is 1 for 8 here in the postseason. Looking to get back on the right track. Finally, he'll have an opportunity to face off against a lefty, a side of the ball he has had some serious success against this year.
Fedko picked up a hit in the bottom of the 15th inning and was lifted for a pinch runner. Went 0 for 3, or 0 for 2, 1 for 3 rather, excuse me, as pitch misses in the dirt, 2-0. Mariners looking to chip away at this big deficit. Most runs they've trailed by at any point this season against Cotuit, as that pitch is fouled straight back. The only time I think they've trailed by more runs was that game against the YD Red Sox, in which they lost 13-6. That was the largest margin of defeat for the Mariners this season.
Yeah, and they really haven't been. This may be the worst blowout so far. 7 runs, I believe, is equal to what they lost to YD by, as you just said. So, you know, this is a very rare situation for the Mariners with how good their pitching staff has done this year.
Fedko swings and fouls a pitch off, 2-2. Christian Fedko, no surprise to see him pinch hit against a left-handed pitcher, as during the regular season, Fedko really, really good against lefties, hit a solid .368. Just 2 RBIs, though. Here he's got a man in scoring position with 1 down in the top of the 7th. Sean Harrington takes his lead off second. Nick Jones comes set, the 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Got him with an inside fastball, only about 89 miles an hour, but Fedko was not expecting it, and he becomes out number 2. So Nico Cavadas will dig in. He homered in his last at-bat, 2 for 3, with a single, a strikeout, and the solo shot that brought the deficit within 2 back in the 5th inning. That was, of course, before Cotuit put up 6 runs in the bottom half. First pitch breaking ball misses low.
It's good to see Cavadas looking like himself again, though, as again he had a really tough stretch, 0 for 17, but he's got it done today. 2 for 3, a single, a home run, and a chance here. If he could put another one over the wall, it would be a 5-run ball game.
Ball in the dirt. Pasek continues to be a force behind the plate as he makes a lunging stop. As he's approaching his 22nd inning behind home plate within the last 24 hours. He has been a complete warrior for the Cotuit Kettleers. The 2-0 pitch. Breaking ball misses low and outside. Corey Acton waits in the on-deck circle, another guy who's seen the ball well against lefties this season. Cavadas looking to keep the inning alive. Sean Harrington still at second base, the 3-0. Fastball, and that will miss up and away for ball 4. So a strikeout and a walk to start out Nick Jones's outing. Now 2 on with 2 away for the Mariners.
And that's not a bad proposition as you put Nico Cavadas on first base. You do give yourself the force now at any bag, and you don't have to pitch to a guy who's been exceptionally hot. Instead, you'll face Corey Acton, who was 0 for 4 yesterday. He reached on 3 walks. He is now 0 for 7 here in the series.
Acton, regular season and postseason, 4 home runs on the year. And that ball's fouled straight back, and luckily that missed one of the photographers over to the left side.
He barely even flinched.
Yeah.
He's not going back behind the gate or anything. He's just content to stand right there. I mean, that's dedication to the bit, I guess. And now he'll go into the dugout.
Not the worst of ideas, as the 0-1 is on the outside corner to Acton.
Acton will have to shorten up on the bat a little bit here, as he's at risk of ending the inning. This is really Harwich's best chance. 2 runners on base and an opportunity to maybe cut into this 7-run lead.
The 0-2, a breaking ball that misses inside for ball 1. Pasek tried framing it, but it did look like that pitch was a good 2 to 3 inches inside.
Yeah, but again, this whole crowd is on edge. Anything that's within the same zip code as the strike zone, they're going to think is in there, and you can hear the crowd very upset about that, but the right call, very easy call. The count goes 1-2 here on Acton.
Nick Jones' 2-2 is swung on and fouled off the glove of Pasek, who's a bit frustrated with himself, unable to hang on to it.
Cody Pasek's defense, not only with the blocks behind home plate, but also him sprinting full tilt to try to get every ball that's been popped up his way. He's made a couple of crucial outs in this series already, and it's part of the reason why he is another candidate potentially for one of the MVPs.
Pitch is swung on and missed for strike 3. Acton comes away empty-handed, and so do the Mariners, as they were able to get 1 run earlier in the inning on a Sean Harrington RBI single, but they still trail 10-3. We head to the 7th inning stretch. Cotuit just 6 outs away from their 17th Cape Cod Baseball League championship. You're listening right here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Cam Bauman enters for his 2nd inning of work in the bottom of the 7th inning. Pitched a clean 6th, and he's looking to keep this a 7-run deficit, as he will be tasked with facing the 8-9-1 hitters Dante Williams, Cody Pasek, and Nick Gonzalez. Dante Williams 2 for 3 with 2 singles, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. So a guy who has really hit his stride at the right time. Had struggled all season long, but has gotten the job done against the Harwich Mariners, as he's got now, I believe, 3 RBIs, including the regular season against them, including a home run.
Yeah, he's been big a number of times, and, well, we'll see if he can get something done here. Already 2 for 3 with the RBI single and then the run scored like everybody else. There was only 2 guys that didn't come across the score in the 5th. It was Nick Gonzalez and Araj Anu, who went 0 for 2.
And the first pitch to Williams is hit on the ground to left side, and it goes through the legs of Corey Acton, as he was expecting that ball to hop up, and it ends up going right through the wicket. So it's going to be the 3rd error of the ball game for a Harwich Mariners team that was tied for the league lead in the regular season in fielding percentage.
And again, it just feels like everything is completely going in Cotuit's favor right now. Even the little things like that. Harwich just looks a little bit beaten out there. And again, this is a team that's had a lot of fun this year, and they've really enjoyed their time, but you know, it looks like, and they're going to continue to fight until this thing's over, but it's just very tough to be in the position that they're in right now and still have a smile on your face.
Bauman briefly steps off before the first pitch to Cody Pasek, who's 1 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored. Part of that big bottom of the 5th inning, and he watches a first pitch ball. Infield at double play depth. That would be big if Mariners can roll 2 at the top of the order looming. 1-0 pitch is in there at 85 miles an hour for strike one.
Of course, on the other side, it'll be Joey Weimer, Hal Hughes, and Pat Winkle due up. Winkle will actually hit ahead of Hughes. So a couple more big bats in the lineup for Harwich.
1-1 count to Pasek. Williams takes his lead off first, and the pitch from Cam Bauman is a nice breaking ball and catches Pasek way out in front for strike two.
I mean, to his credit, Bauman's had his off-speed working all game long, and we'll see whether he can continue hammering it into the zone, but the changeup and the curveball have worked exceptionally well for him.
And a pair of strikeouts last inning, a slow roller up the middle. This could be two. Hughes fields it, steps on second. The throw is in plenty of time. It is a 6-4 double play and a much-needed one for the Harwich Mariners.
Yep, and that's big because, again, it clears the bases, but the runs that are not going on the board, not as important as the runs that could be going on the board. Harwich has to get the offense rolling if they're going to have any chance in this one, regardless of what happens here. But with Nick Gonzalez at the plate, it would be a tough way, but a good way to end the inning if they can get him out here.
Cody Pasek, who just hit into his second double play of the series, giving his teammate Matt Mervis some tips, who's waiting in the on-deck circle. But for now, it's Nick Gonzalez who watches a first pitch breaking ball catch the bottom of the strike zone. Gonzalez just 1 for 4, but it was an RBI single in the fifth. His third RBI of the series and his fourth hit. And this time, a 91-mile-an-hour fastball from Bauman blows it right past the league MVP for strike two.
It's more heat than we've seen Bauman throw with all year. I think that's the first time we've seen him go that high above 90. So again, really reaching back for something extra, and he completely catches Nick Gonzalez off beat.
No balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs in the seventh. Breaking ball misses in the dirt.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to get Nick Gonzalez, again, to chase a pitch like that. We've seen a lot of guys get ahead of him in the count, and then they try to get him to chase something well out of the zone, but he is far too patient to chase anything like that.
Gonzalez is one of 2 players in this Cotuit lineup that have not scored a run, the other being Parker Chavers. And the 1-2 is swung on and missed for strike 3, the third strikeout for Cam Bauman as he goes 2 scoreless innings against a potent Cotuit lineup. However, Cotuit, after 7, leads it in Game 2, 10-3 over the Harwich Mariners. They are 6 outs away from securing the championship. You're listening to Harwich Mariners Baseball on the Mariners Radio Network. Eighth inning from Lowell Park. Colin Casey alongside Tyler Henry bringing you coverage of Harwich Mariners baseball all season long. And this could be it for Harwich. They've got 6 outs to work with, but they trail it 10-3 as they've only been able to put up a field goal on a pretty good Cotuit pitching staff that has really come up big when they've needed it the most.
And you just get the feeling if Harwich is going to do something, it has to be here in the 8th inning. You got to feel like if they go to the 9th inning, still trailing in this one by 7, it's just going to be too much. So this is the time to get it done. Joey Weimer at the plate.
First pitch to Weimer is on the outside corner. The Cincinnati Bearcat 1 for 3 in this ball game. Also had a couple of hits yesterday, including the first run scored in the game for Harwich after a leadoff double in that second inning. And Weimer swings and misses on a slow breaking ball from Nick Jones, who's on for what would be his first full inning of work. He came in and got the final 2 outs of inning number 7.
Yep, and his off speeds looked really good. Weimer's going to have to tread lightly here with an 0-2 count.
Jones comes set. Here's the pitch. And that ball is hit pretty well out towards right field, sends a new going back, still going back, and it is off the fence. So Joey Weimer stands in with a leadoff double as that ball kept carrying and carrying, and it took a new all the way back up against the wall. He couldn't quite get it out, but hey, a leadoff double for the Harwich Mariners.
Yep, and there it is. Joey Weimer finds his way on with a double. Now you go to Pat Winkle, who's been one of the hottest hitters in the lineup throughout the last couple of days, and you just keep the line moving. And I almost feel like it's better that Weimer's ball didn't go out because now you've got a runner on base. You're going to make Nick Jones go out of the stretch here, and you're going to give your guy a person on his own team to look at past the pitcher. A little bit more motivation for Pat Winkle to try to drive the run in here and keep the line moving.
First pitch to Winkle is on the outside corner for a strike. One thing to mention, I'm not exactly sure what the defensive changes were after Christian Fedko batted for Dylan Noisy. If I had to guess, I think Max Marshak might be in center field now for Noisy, but we'll get that updated as soon as possible as Winkle fouls a pitch off and falls behind 0-2.
Yeah, not a lot of options. As we've gone from a position where the Mariners have had too many outfielders to not having enough outfielders. As again, it was Noisy, Weimer, and Ludwig starting today. Lanzilli, the only other available outfielder other than Marshak. So we'll get you an update on that next half inning.
Here's the 0-2. Breaking ball misses outside. Or, of course, this half inning, if the Mariners get the bats hot and we find out who will bat in that spot that Fedko was in.
Very true.
Winkle 1 for 3 with a single and a couple of flyouts. The pitch. Breaking ball check swing. Did he go the appeal? He did. Third base umpire rings him up. Pasek applies the tag, and Winkle walks back to the dugout. One big out for Cotuit. They're 5 outs away.
And even after the tag, Winkle doesn't try to run down the first. I mean, it's not like it would do a whole lot necessarily, but there is the risk of a wild throw. You got to give yourself a chance there. But Winkle just gives himself up for the first out of the inning.
So here's Hal Hughes, who singled in the 4th and is also flown out to left and struck out swinging. Hit a ball pretty well out towards left field back in that 2nd inning, but couldn't quite get it over Parker Chaver's head, and he's ahead in the count 1-0.
We'll see if Hughes can fight back here. There's already one single for him. Other than that, 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a flyout.
Here's the 1-0. And Hughes with an inside-out swing down the right field line, hustling over, and Mervis can't quite make the catch as that ball is going to drop in, and it'll be a foul ball.
So the count stays 1-1 here on Hal Hughes. Joey Weimer on second base. Harwich trailing 3-10 here in the 8th, down to their final 5 outs.
4 of the 9 Mariner hits have gone for extra bases, but it has only resulted in 3 runs. In fact, 2 of them long balls from Nico Cavadas and Riley Terada in the 5th inning. Jones with the 1-1. Tried getting the breaking ball in the outside corner, and it misses.
And only 3 hits separate these two teams. 12 hits for Cotuit, 10 runs, 9 hits for Harwich, just the 3 runs, and of course 3 errors for the Mariners compared to 0 for the Cotuit Kettlers right now.
2 unearned runs allowed by Harwich, so those errors haven't made too much of a difference, and Hughes hits this one down the right field line, but it fades out of play.
Yeah, once again, given a pretty good chase over there was Aranja New, but he's not going to be able to get there in time, and Hughes not really straightening it out right now as he continues to push the ball the other way, see whether or not he can wrap one around, as it seems like Nick Jones has been content to keep things on the outer half of the plate on him.
2-2, Joey Weimer on first with 1 out in the 7th, or in the 8th rather, as Hughes able to stay alive. Good job fighting on Nick Jones.
Sends that one back near the Harwich section, just narrowly gets up over the top of the fans there, and that could have been dangerous, but nothing doing there. Count stays 2-2.
Still the same 9 in the field for Cotuit. Haven't gone to the bench yet. They only made 1 change in the entire 15-inning game yesterday, as 2-2 misses outside for ball 3, as it was actually 2 changes, as they had Mason McWhorter pinch hit for Colton Kessler, and then they put McWhorter in the game at first base, the other being Richard Brereton was pinch hit for by Christian Robinson late in the ball game, and it was part of that top of the 15th inning, but Robinson had struck out swinging. The payoff pitch is hammered down the left field line by Hughes, but it will one-hop the fence in foul territory, and the count will stay full.
And there he got around one, and that's exactly what he needs to do. If he can pull that one a little bit closer to the line, that would have scored Weimer for sure, and again, kept things going for the Mariners. They have Mike Ludwig on deck. And Riley Tirada, who is 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored, a home run and a double, I'll due up after that.
Weimer led off the inning with a double, followed by a strikeout swinging by Pat Winkle. The 3-2 to Hal Hughes is in there for strike 3 on the outside corner, and Hughes can't believe it. That ball looked like it was a couple of inches outside, but they're going to ring them up, and the Cotuit Kettlers 1 out away from getting out of the 8th.
Yeah, that was tough. Again, he knew that pitch was out of the zone, but a weird strike call by Jeff Merzel, and that'll be back-to-back strikeouts here on Harwich. Now Mike Ludwig represents the last hope in the inning to score a run.
Ludwig so far 0 for 2 with a walk. And there's a good breaking ball from Jones. He's really been working that breaking pitch, and to his credit, it has been finding the strike zone. He's done a good job of keeping it on the corners. A look at second, he comes home yet again. That fastball's on the outside corner. Just great location from Jones.
And Ludwig just looked confused, not expecting that fastball in a perfect spot, good velocity on it, and now he's dug himself an 0-2 hole.
Jones back on the rubber. He comes set. And the 0-2. Misses way outside, and Pasek had to kind of lunge out of his crouch to keep it in front of it, but give him credit, he continues to not let anything past him.
Yep, another really good stop there by Cody Pasek. He has not allowed a single ball that has gotten past, I don't think, this entire series with a runner on base, not once. So nobody has advanced on a pass ball throughout the course of this series. Joey Weimer, no exception over there on second base.
Jones will try finding the zone again, the 1-2. Breaking ball, and that one's going to miss in the dirt. Might as well use up a couple of waste pitches here. He's got the opportunity, a lefty-lefty matchup ideal. But Mike Ludwig did hit better against lefties in the regular season, batted .280 against southpaws. Ludwig steps back into the box. The Wake Forest Demon Deacon awaiting the 2-2 pitch from Nick Jones. Here it is. Fastball misses outside.
Yep, Ludwig continues to stay patient up there. Now Nick Jones will have an opportunity to go after him with a full count.
Joey Weimer, the runner on second. Here comes the payoff pitch from Jones. And a fastball fouled off to the left. Not sure exactly what that was.
I think that was from the PA.
I hope so. It didn't look like it landed in the parking lot, so I was a little confused there. It looked like it might have been off to the left a little bit more.
That
but
was a little too perfect of a glass shattering noise.
Crowd clapping it up here at Lowell Park. Payoff pitch. Line drive, and that's going to get down into left field for a base hit. Weimer will try to score from second. Here comes the throw into Pasek, and it is in time. Parker Chavers with a phenomenal throw from left field, and the inning is over. So Joey Weimer gets thrown out from second trying to score, and the Cotuit Kettlers are 3 outs away from winning the 2019 CCBL Championship. We head to the bottom of the 8th inning. 10-3, they lead it. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Cotuit Kettlers look to add to their 10-3 lead as they are 3 outs away from securing the 2019 Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series. It is Game 2. They lead 1-0 in the series after a hard-fought 15-inning victory for the Kettlers yesterday, and Cam Bauman's tasked with keeping it a 7-run deficit for the Mariners going into their last ups.
Yep, he'll face off against Matt Mervis, Arajanu, and Casey Schmidt. Mervis having a monster day with 2 RBIs, a home run, and 2 singles.
Bauman's first pitch to Mervis, breaking ball over for a strike. Matt Mervis, a two-way player that pitched in yesterday's game, gave up a 2-run home run to Pat Winkle that made it 6-4 at the time, but 3 unanswered runs by Cotuit gave them a 7-6 win, and Mervis lines this ball into the gap in right center field. This could be extra bases, but Marshak, with his speed, able to run over in time. Max Marshak, the defensive replacement in center field for Christian Fedko, gets the ball in quickly, and Mervis is held to a leadoff single.
Yeah, not a huge surprise with Marshak's speed that he's able to corral that baseball in time, and so, you know, there it is. One more hit. That'll be number 13 on the day for Cotuit, with Arajanu, who is 0 for 4, coming to the plate.
This will be Anu's first at-bat from the right side in this ball game. Switch hitting right fielder. First pitch gets through Harrington's pads, and Mervis will trot on over to second base. So already a runner in scoring position in the 8th with the heart of the lineup due up for the Kettlers. Anu quiet in this game. He is 0 for 4. And the 1-0 is over for a strike.
He did most of his damage yesterday, driving in 4 runs, including a 3-run home run. So he's earned a day off here, if you will, but I'm sure he'd love nothing more than to pad onto this already 7-run Cotuit lead heading into the ninth.
Mervis with a big lead off second, the 1-1, and Anu way out in front of a Bauman off-speed pitch. Looked like he went with a changeup.
Yeah, once again, Bauman just completely mixing speeds, and it's worked so far. He's given up just the 1 big hit. That's to Matt Mervis, who stands on second base right now. Bauman
comes set. A look at second, the 1-2. Another breaking ball, and that one misses just inside.
Of course, with Colton Kessler getting the single, that's actually the second hit that Bauman's allowed in this game. Kessler is due up in the hole right now.
And looks like the home plate umpire had some words to say with Cam Bauman, and Coach Englert is going to head out there, and not exactly sure what was going on, but home plate umpire Jeff Merzel looked a little bit upset with him.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there. Again, Bauman hadn't really said anything to Merzel, so for one reason or another, the left half or the right half of the infield's going to come in here. So Nico Cavadas trots in along with Corey Acton. Coach Englert out there right now having a word with Cam Bauman. But yeah, I can't imagine what the problem is with Jeff Merzel.
Him and Arajanu had a bit of a discussion. I'm sure Anu is just as bewildered by what was going on. But as the mound visit ends, he will await a 2-2 pitch.
Yep, everybody goes back to their posts here.
And play will be resumed. So Matt Mervis, the runner on second. He singled to lead off the inning and moved up on a pass ball. Bauman comes set, and the 2-2. Like a sinking changeup that dips just below the zone. It's a 3-2 count.
Yeah, strange pitch, 81 miles an hour, a little bit more velocity than you'd expect, but either way, it's a full count.
Casey Schmidt in the on-deck circle. He's got a couple of home runs in this one, and time called briefly by Anu. He steps back into the box. 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 3 as Anu goes down on strikes for the 3rd time. He is 0 for 5, and Cam Bauman continues to strike out batters left and right. That's his 4th strikeout in 2 1/3 innings pitched.
Yeah, and while today's game may or may not net Harwich a championship, I mean, for Cam Bauman, he's looked good in front of the scouts. One last chance to kind of renew his status as Casey Schmidt comes to the plate. Here comes the big challenge. Schmidt has already reached base 3 times, 2 home runs, a hit by pitch, 2 for 3 with the 2 bombs.
Been a strong day for the San Diego State Aztec. First pitch comes into Schmidt and misses inside. Schmidt, of course, was hit by a pitch back in the 5th inning, and that led to several runs being scored in the inning, 6. Schmidt would come around to score on a pass ball. So here's the 1-0, and an off-speed right down the middle.
Bauman just looking for another scoreless frame. So far, nobody's come across to score on his watch in this game. But the Mariners' offense has not helped them out here. They still trail 3-10.
1-1 from Cam Bauman is inside, and Casey Schmidt able to high step his way out of that pitch.
Well, Colin, when you and I were here a few weeks ago, we were sitting down talking to Cotuit Kettler broadcaster Sam Niederman, and he said he thought this was the team to beat. And it turns out he was right, as coming into the postseason, Cotuit just blazed through all the competition they faced.
Now, you got to respect the take there, because at the time, Cotuit hadn't been playing all that well of baseball when he said that, and seemed like an interesting statement then, but it's a 2-1 is fouled straight back. But certainly a team that has been hot since coming into the playoffs. They just lost game 1 of the first series and haven't lost since then.
Of course, at that point, they were on a big losing streak, as you mentioned, and they dropped all the way down to 3rd place, but they've really fought back here as they swept the #1 team in the West in the Falmouth Commodores, and then, of course, the 2-1 victory in series over the Wareham Gatemen.
Bauman looks over at second. The 2-2 pitch is a high fly ball out towards shallow center. This ball might fall in, but instead running over is Mike Ludwig, and he makes a nice hustle catch for out number 2. So that will bring up Colton Kessler, who is 1 for 2, has reached base in all 4 of his plate appearances.
Yeah, again, a strange day for Colton Kessler, but again, he's got it done. He's found his way on base, and he's done the hard part. He'll be tasked with maybe bringing another run in here. Bauman continuing to look to get out of another inning unscathed.
So Mervis still standing on second. And Kessler, the left-handed hitting designated hitter out of Kentucky, takes first pitch for a ball. Kessler will be teammates with Raj Anu, who's transferred to the University of Kentucky after Anu playing at a junior college. Anu, of course, a guy that the Boston Red Sox have liked a lot after drafting him twice. 1-0 is up and away.
Yep, Kessler staying patient up there, and that's how he's reached base. 2 walks. He also reached on an error, as you mentioned.
10 runs on 13 hits in this game for Cotuit. They have not committed an error. As here is the 2-0, and it's on the outside corner for a strike.
Yeah, Bauman not afraid to fire it in there, and again, after going down 2-0, he knows Kessler's being patient. He's probably not too apt to take a next pitch, and he just zips one in on him. So the count goes 2-1. He's brought it back to even pitcher to hitter.
Cam Bauman working to complete his 3rd inning out of the bullpen, and that pitch is going to miss low.
That had a little too much movement for his own good, as I don't think he expected that to break down as low as it did, but that's exactly what happened. And with a 3-1 count, Kessler digs back in for another pitch.
Parker Chavers in the on-deck circle. And the 3-1. In the dirt for ball 4, Harrington keeps it in front of him, and Kessler will head down as he reaches base for the 5th time, the 3rd time he has been walked.
Yep, it's another walk here. This one issued by Cam Bauman, just the first walk of his appearance, and he'll now face Parker Chavers, who is 1 for 3. He had the RBI sac fly in the 5th inning that scored the first run for the Cotuit Kettleers back in that inning, and then they would rip off 5 more for a 6-run 5th.
Despite not having any RBIs, Colton Kessler has quietly reached base 7 times in these 2 games. Doing his job in the 5-hole as Chavers takes a pitch up and in, and Harrington can't quite hang on to it, but doesn't roll far enough away for Mervis or Kessler to advance.
On the other side of the break, due up, Riley Tirada, Sean Harrington, and Max Marshock, although we'll likely see at least one pinch hitter mixed in there. Get ready to see Chris Lanzilli more than likely come in for an at-bat.
The 1-0 in at the knees. Shavers out of Coastal Carolina. 1 for 3 today with a single and a sacrifice fly. Brought home the first run of that 6-run 5th inning. As the Cotuit Kettleers just kept driving in runs, and That inning certainly making a huge difference as Bauman comes back with a strike on the inside corner. Be interesting to see if Nick Jones goes out for the 9th inning. He has certainly earned it the way he has been dominant out of the bullpen. For now, it's the other lefty on the other side, Bauman. 1-2 pitch in the dirt.
Yep, Bauman looking for one more strikeout here. He has had 4 in his outing so far. This has been arguably the best Cam Bauman outing that we've seen throughout the entire 2019 CCBL season.
2-2 pitch is a chopper off the plate heading towards first. This is going to be a tough play. The flip is not going to be in time. So it's a hustle infield single for Chavers, and that will load the bases 2 away for Adam Oviedo.
Yeah, really not a whole lot that Bauman could do. He had to try to drift over and grab the ball. He was unable to get there fast enough. So Oviedo has another chance. 1 RBI single for him. The base is loaded, and Cotuit with an opportunity to really drive Harwich's hopes into the dirt even further than they already are. Harwich again trailing 3-10 here in the 8th inning at Lowell Park in Cotuit.
Both teams so far have left, well, actually, so far Cotuit has left 6 guys on base, with Harwich leaving on 7 as the first pitch to Oviedo is swung on and missed for strike 1.
Yep, and Harwich has had their chances. The problem is their 9 hits are a lot more spread out than the 14 of Cotuit this year.
Both teams left a combined 25 runners on base yesterday. Of course, that game going 15 innings, so those numbers a bit inflated. As the 0-1 is a nice curveball on the inside corner at 66 miles an hour.
Yeah, he threw him a bit of an eephus there, and now Cam Bauman, once again, is just 1 strike away from ending the inning.
Let's see if he sticks with that off-speed pitch. He's working from the windup with the bases loaded. And time is going to be called.
Once again, Bauman taking a long time to deliver his pitches home.
Mervis on 3rd, Kessler on 2nd, Shavers on 1st. Adam Oviedo at the plate. The 0-2 misses up and in.
Not a bad idea, trying to get him to chase at something upstairs, but Oviedo able to lay off, and the count goes 3-1.
Oviedo had 3 home runs in the regular season, none of them coming off a lefty. The 1-2. Breaking ball hit out to right field, and it's going to hang up in time for Mike Ludwig to run it down and make the catch. So we head to the 9th inning. Cotuit Kettlers lead at 10-3, and they are 3 outs away from winning the 2019 CCBL championship. Listen in right here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Ninth inning of play in Game 2 of the Cape Cod Baseball League Championship Series, and once again, Cotuit going to a position player to finish the ball game. I use the term position player loosely, as it is Casey Schmidt coming into the ball game, and Schmidt has been a really dominant pitcher in the regular season for the Cotuit Kettlers, and now he's going to get an opportunity right here in the playoffs to clinch the championship for his squad.
And a guy who's been fired up all game long. No surprise to see him the way he has been today. And, well, now he's got an opportunity to close it down and give his team a CCBL title, the 18th in their, or 17th in their history.
So it'll be Riley Tirada leading things off. Tirada, among the Harwich Mariners, has actually had a really good day, 2 for 3. Couple of runs scored, including the solo home run back in inning number 5. Mariners down to their final 3 outs of the season, as they would need a Herculean effort to force a Game 3 at White House Field tomorrow at 5:30. So Schmidt working from the set, and the first pitch comes up and in on Tirada, and wasn't even a pitch as the umpire didn't even put the ball in play. So controversy continues to follow the man who has 2 home runs in this game.
Yeah, Schmidt, I don't know what the deal is there, because again, Casey Schmidt had a bit of a chip on his shoulder when there was a pitch thrown that came in and hit him earlier in this game. There's no reason for anything like that, as again, Riley Tirada had nothing to do with it nonetheless. Nobody really did anything intentionally either. That's just a little showboating here at the end of the game.
You know what actually I think the issue might be is he's got an interesting windup that almost looks like a stretch, but it's actually kind of the windup. Like he does a little bit of a move there and doesn't come set. Now, he does have a point as a pitch misses inside. Because he's working from the windup, he shouldn't have to kind of come set, but I guess the umpire might have thought he was trying to quick pitch him or something. But regardless, it's a 2-0 count to Riley Tirada.
This year, a 2.0 ERA for Casey Schmidt.
And the 2-0 to Tirada misses up and in, so some control issues to start things off, and Tirada looking to reach base for the 3rd time in the contest.
Yep, he's pitched 5 innings in the postseason so far. They have been completely scoreless. He has allowed just 2 hits, 7 strikeouts to only 1 walk.
9-hitter Sean Harrington in the on-deck circle. Can't afford to pinch hit him with Pat Winkle, the other catcher, the DH in this game. 3-0, fastball misses inside for ball 4 as Casey Schmidt issues a 4-pitch walk to Riley Tirada to lead things off in the top of inning number 9.
Well, it's a start, and with Sean Harrington coming to the plate, he's already got 1 RBI single. That came back in the 7th inning of play, so Harwich just looking to keep the line moving and keep the inning alive. No outs yet. They're down to their final 3 of the season.
The next 5 batters were to reach base. The tying run would be Pat Winkle. So some wishful thinking, and Tirada's going to take off and take second. You understand the aggression being down 7 runs. You might as well take bags if Cotuit's going to give them to you.
And really no even interest in throwing down to second for Cody Pasek. They're trying to focus up on the hitter, but another pitch out of the zone. That's 5 in a row.
Harrington drove in a run in his last at-bat in the 7th. And a fastball misses outside.
Another one. That's 6 in a row here. So far, Casey Schmidt has not been able to find the strike zone yet. And here comes Coach Mike Roberts.
Yeah, he's going to head out there. I wouldn't be surprised if the bullpen got in action just in case for Cotuit. They do have a couple of viable options. We saw Beck Way warm up late in the game yesterday. They could go to him. Another guy, of course, Kyle Nicholas, who was up and throwing a couple of times, but they just kept going with Richard Brereton yesterday, and it paid off. So now you have these guys available and a number of options.
Well, Nicholas did come in for the final inning of play yesterday as he was able to pick up just the 1
that's
hit
right, yep.
given up. But he could still come in for another one here. He didn't get a lot of extended use yesterday. So here we go. They'll stick with Casey Schmidt. Mike Roberts heads back to the dugout. His team just 3 outs away from securing their first CCBL title since 2013.
Now, there's been some defensive changes as Matt Mervis is the 3rd baseman currently. And looking at first, I believe that's Mason McWhorter over at first base. So a couple of changes to the corner infielders after Colton Schmidt brought into the game to pitch. And the fastball misses up and away. And an interesting point from my producer, Matt Lucy, the bullpen is actually in the dugout. So there's no one right now at all in the bullpen, completely vacated.
They've got a lot of confidence in Schmidt, but again, 7 consecutive pitches here out of the zone. It's going to be taking all the way here, Sean Harrington.
3-0 is on the outside corner for the first strike, and the crowd erupts.
Yep, finally, something over the middle of the zone. So green light's going to be flicked on here for Sean Harrington. See whether or not he can drive in his 2nd run of the game.
Runner on second, Tirada, the 3-1. Big swing and a miss as he turned on the gas, and that one 93 miles an hour from Schmidt. It's a full count.
And that's the kind of confidence that Casey Schmidt really needed.
Full count to the Babson College product. Here it is. Fastball in at the knees for strike 3, and Harrington goes down looking. Cotuit, 2 outs away.
And how about this, Colin? Here comes Max Marshak. They're going to let him hit.
So Marshak will get an opportunity. Max in the postseason so far.
0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts.
So hasn't been too kind to him. But a base hit here might be able to plate the 4th run of the ball game for the Mariners, standing on second in the form of Riley Tirada. First pitch to Marshak, low and outside. Still a large number of fans sticking around to watch the conclusion of this one, and why not?
Yep, Kettlers just 2 outs away from securing a title here as, again, Max Marshak represents one of the final hopes for the Harwich Mariners.
1-0 to Marshak is lined and caught. They will run over to second, and that's going to be it. A line out to Adam Oviedo. It's a double play, and the Cotuit Kettlers are the 2019 CCBL champions. They knock off the Harwich Mariners 10-3 in the clinching game as they mob the pitcher's mound, and the Harwich Mariners season ends in heartbreak as they will be the 2019 runners-up.
Still an impressive, incredible season for the Harwich Mariners, and we will get more into that in an in-depth post-game. And, you know, the season did not end the way that they wanted it to, but they fought tooth and nail to get to this point. This is a team that, again, just 4 weeks ago was not even in the playoff picture. They were actually going to be knocked out by Brewster, but they fought back, they got in, they swept 2 Eastern Championship Series games, and they made it to the Championship Series. They come up just 1 game short, but at the end of the day, still an impressive run for the 2019 Harwich Mariners.
And for the Cotuit Kettlers, a team that finished the season at 500, 20-20-4, they rally in the postseason, and after losing the first game of the first series to the Wareham Gatemen, they are able to rattle off 6 straight victories and clinch their 17th championship in team history. When we come back, we will wrap things up and reflect on an incredible 2019 season for both the Cotuit Kettlers and the Harwich Mariners right here on the Harwich Mariners Radio Network. Back here one final time at Lowell Park as celebration festivities are on for the Cotuit Kettlers as they knock off the Harwich Mariners 10-3 in Game 2 of the CCBL Championship Series, and this one bringing the 17th championship to southwestern Barnstable County as Cotuit Kettlers, a team that was the 3 seed coming in to this playoffs, went on quite the run, winning 6 straight games and eventually the championship, highlighted by a 15-inning victory last night at White House Field, and then a 10-run performance for the Kettlers in front of their home crowd at Lowell Park. And real quick, just a congratulations to the Cotuit Kettlers. They really played their tails off in the playoffs, and they peaked when it mattered most, Tyler.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have a team, again, you look at this lineup. They have 6 All-Stars in the lineup top to bottom. This is an incredible team overall, and they absolutely deserve this. The question was whether or not Harwich had enough arms and could potentially limit that. And I guess the unstoppable force beats the immovable object in this round of the age-old matchup. But again, Harwich played their tails off. It was an incredible season. We'll get into them as, again, this has been the story of the season for the Harwich Mariners. They just can't quite come up with enough firepower at the end of the day, and they get let down in a very tough Game 2 here at Cotuit.
And we now look at the Harwich Mariners season. I mean, this is a team that was struggling to stay out of the basement as late as mid-July. I mean, they were just a team that couldn't quite get consistency going at the plate. We know their pitching was good all season long, but hitting-wise, they couldn't quite get it done until the final 2 weeks of the regular season. They really turned things on. Even injuries to some of their key players. Tyler Keenan, a guy that went down earlier in the season, a third baseman that looked like he was going to be a huge spot in the middle of the lineup. He was gone, but key guys came in to step up. Corey Acton, after a rough start, also battling an injury. He turned things around and was a big part of the Mariners, especially in the playoffs. Riley Terrata today had quite the game, reached base 3 times and was a huge spot for the Mariners. So what do you think was the real theme for the Harwich Mariners this season, Tyler?
It was pitching. I mean, all year long, it was pitching and it was next man up baseball. You talk about some of the guys they lost: Evan Shaver, Buddy Hayward, Tyler Keenan, Caden O'Brien, Chris Gallen for the final game of the season. And then they had other guys that had to leave early for other reasons: Mike Rothenberg, Daniel Cabrera, Jordan Butler, Tommy Vale. They still fought through it. They found the next guy up, and not only did that next guy always find a way to perform, but they played their tails off. And again, they got themselves to the championship series, short-staffed, down but not out throughout the whole season, and they put together one heck of a 2019 season. These guys have nothing but things to be proud of, and it hurts to lose the way that they did here in the championship series, but still an incredible run for the 2019 Mariners, one you and I will never forget, and one that none of these players will ever forget.
Once again, 10-3 the final score in Game 2 as Cotuit is the 2019 CCBL champions. And looking back at the game, they were able to set the tone early, Tyler. 2 solo shots off of Connor McCullough in the first inning, and then they were able to pad onto it after another solo shot from Casey Schmidt, his second of the ball game coming in the 4th. They picked up 2 more runs in that inning. It was 4-0. Right then, Harwich had a little bit of life. They picked up 2 solo shots of their own in the 5th inning from off the bats of Riley Terrata and Nico Cavada. So it was 4-2, and then all of a sudden the floodgates opened in the bottom of the 5th, and Cotuit just continued to be consistent at getting singles and pushing the next guy up to the plate.
Yeah, and at that point, it looked like we were going to have a baseball game. Again, you look at it, there's a certain point in the 5th inning where, okay, it's a 2-run ball game. Harwich is getting the bats going, and you've got a guy in there throwing really well in in Carson Seymour, but then it all just falls apart going into the next half inning, and that inning was really unsurmountable. I want to point out also really quickly, on the entire season, it was a 1.0 ERA for Connor McCullough. Anytime you can get 2 home runs off of him, you've done more than your job, and that's what Cotuit did today en route to a championship victory.
It was a bunch of power that got it done, and Harwich could only add a single run on an RBI single from Sean Harrington in the 7th, and that was it. And real quick for the Cotuit pitching staff, how about Sean Sullivan coming up big once again? Sure, he had a lot of run support, but he still has to pitch a good game to put his team in a position to win this championship.
Well, and even if they don't have the big inning, if they just score the 4 runs that they get off Connor McCullough, they still win this game 4-3. So yeah, Sullivan looked awfully good. And again, I think the highlight of the game also was Cam Bauman. How about him? He came in to pitch the 6th, 7th, and 8th, and he really shut down an otherwise flawless lineup for the Kettlers.
Once again, 10-3 the final score. The Harwich Mariners season ends. And real quick, just as a broadcaster reflecting on this season, what an honor it has been to really watch this team grow. I mean, as we mentioned earlier, this team struggled in June, especially before they got a lot of their key players. They had to wait a really long time for some of the guys to come in. The Texas Tech guys, of course, coming in really late after their team made a phenomenal run. And what did you think you're going to take away from most of it with this experience, not just as a broadcaster, but also as, I guess, a guy, as a person observing this 2019 Harwich Mariners team?
Well, I'll tell you what, there are a lot of guys on this 2019 Mariners team that we're going to be watching on ESPN and Fox Sports sometime in the next 10 years. There is a lot of talent and a lot of future MLB talent on this team. So it's been an honor to get to cover these guys when they're, ironically enough, still younger than we are. And, you know, watching a lot of guys our age just go out there and have a lot of fun. That was the thing. I think the Mariners had the most fun out of anybody else this year. The team was loose. They had fun playing with each other. And at the end of the day, again, they come up just short. But this is a season that we have loved covering and that they have loved having. So an absolute honor to be out here on the Cape and an absolute honor to go all the way to the CCBL final. Thanks to the guys out there on the field, the real stars of our show.
And also, of course, the great volunteers of this Cape League that make this entire league possible. I do want to thank the Harwich Mariners organization and the Cape Cod Baseball League for giving us this opportunity to broadcast a fun season for the Harwich Mariners, which ends today at Lowell Park. Final score 10-3, Cotuit 2019 Cape Cod Baseball League champions. For our producer, Matt Lucy, who's been here all season long, for our team writer, Jack Belanger, who's done a phenomenal job, our photographer, team writer, social media guy, Alex Weiner, who's worn so many hats with this team, has been phenomenal. And just pretty much everyone with this Harwich Mariners organization, I want to thank them for giving us this opportunity to broadcast for them this season. For my broadcast partner, Tyler Henry, who has been an absolute pleasure to be broadcasting with him all season long, I'm Colin Casey, and everyone out there watching, thank you for tuning in. Without you fans, this has not been possible. So this closes the 2019 season. We hope that 2020 will be just as exciting here in the Cape Cod Baseball League. Thanks for tuning in all year long, and so long, everybody.